I'm dying to see what America's going to do to this. I'll use my favorite word again, clusterfuck, 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 clusterfuck.
To confuse the public about science, to confuse scientists about science.
It's a trap!
It actually is a trap.
It's a trap!
You take away all the dangerous chemicals from what the cigarette's giving people and make it zero, and then try and tell me, well, could just be as bad as smoking.
They like to compare vaping with nothing.
Exactly.
They don't want to compare vaping with smoking.
Exactly. And that's the only thing that matters. And from a harm reduction relative risk point of view, it's pretty hard to look at somebody who's smoking and say that, I don't think vaping's good for you. You shouldn't try vaping because I've heard it's dangerous. I mean, it's kind of a stupid argument.
they sort of evangelize, though. They get in their head that looks like smoking.
Right.
So it must be as bad as smoking.
Well, the interesting thing to me is if you had to define harm reduction, you'd want to emulate the exactly the same behavior, only take away the risk. If you really like driving your car at like 200 miles an hour on a racetrack, you want to put as many safety features in that car as possible, so if something goes wrong, you won't die. And so you want to give people the experience that they're missing or they don't want to give up as much as possible. So to me, vaping's incredible. Like, you're giving people exactly what they want, only better. There's flavors and doesn't stink, and there's a way you won't fall asleep on your couch and burn your house down. I mean, there's a lot of good things about it, but it does give people the same sort of hit that they're requiring with nicotine, and people blow smoke, and people can use their hands, and it's social. So if you really had to design the ideal harm reduction, you take out the bad things and allow people to really experience what they want to experience without the harms. And so vaping and cigarettes, I mean, that's a perfect, you can't get better description of harm reduction than that.
Hola, ¿cómo estás? I'm we're playing around with the new StreamYard's layouts that let us use circles instead of squares. We want to try to be different today. So, in the news of being different, we are short Kevin. We have no Kevin this week, so he's had some terrible windstorms over there in Ohio. I guess he's getting the northern part of that horrible storm. But he said if he gets power, he will pop in. But we do have a substitute. We have a not Kevin tonight. But speaking of not Kevin here, Jason was first, and Mallory says it doesn't matter first or last. I do the same thing. Hey, all you wonderful, beautiful THR advocates. Michelle Elliott, she's asking for some wine. I don't know that we should have any whining, but you can drink some wine. Hunky is here as well. People are coming in. People are going to be here. But speaking of people that are going to be here, our not Kevin was actually the first one in the chat room tonight. There's not Kevin right there.
Yeah, that wasn't beer.
No beer. This is a family only show here. We're very family oriented, young man.
Everyone.
So everyone say hey to our friend not Kevin.
Not Kevin.
Not Kevin.
Hey, my heart goes out to Kevin tonight for not having power. Sucks.
Yeah. He is powerless. Powerless.
He is powerless.
But so it's been a minute since you've been here. How have you been doing?
I'm alive.
Well, that's
Still riding.
That's always
Still
good
riding
news.
up front. Yeah.
Yeah, one of these days you wake up dead. That's not going to be good.
As opposed to riding in the back, I'd rather be riding up front.
Yeah. If you have one of those there station wagons with the extended back end for the no seats, like was it Herman Munster? Didn't he have a tricked out hearse?
Yeah, it was like a Model T hearse, I think, or something.
Yeah, that was.
Hey, by the way, I'm on call tonight, so if I have to mute and take some notes,
let's hope that everybody stays alive in Oklahoma today.
Yeah.
But are you aware? Not Kevin, that in the UK they have rules about vaping while you're driving. Vaping while you're driving.
I guess it's distractive.
I don't know that I want to be driving without a
vape,
a little nicotine in me. Yeah.
Yeah.
But apparently, let's see. No thanks. It says here, vaping drivers warned that they could get huge fines and 9 points on their license. Now, my grammar Nazi's going off over here because of the way they spelled license, but that could be how the Brits spell license. But it says this risky move could land you with up to 9 points on your license if caught. Police say motorists have been warned that they could face a hefty £5,000 fine
for vaping while driving.
Multiple points on their license for a common habit. Those caught vaping while driving could be in a breach of the Road Traffic Act and punished accordingly. Now, I got to go over here and do my pounds to dollars calculation.
So are they going to give them a bonus if they catch them smoking while driving? Will they give them 5,000 pounds?
You're probably all right. You're. Let's see. Am I going to trust Bloomberg.com for this transfer of?
Bloomberg.
Yeah. Well, no. Bloomberg's asking me for money before they will let me. Let's do this exchange rate over here. I want to see. So we're going from. Oh no, I don't want to buy currency. I just want to know what it breaks down to.
Exchange rate.
Yeah. But it's giving me all sorts of goofy stuff over here. Let's see. Pounds to dollars.
6,685 US dollars.
You did that much faster than me. Yeah. 6685.50.
50.
Wow.
Wow.
$6,000, almost a $7,000 fine, essentially, for getting caught while tooting on your vape. And
the government gave you.
Yeah. Wow. So it says, although vaping and driving is not illegal, it can result in disciplinary action if it is found to significantly impair the driver's visibility. The Surrey and Sussex Roads Policing Unit warned that the smoke emitted by e-cigarettes is a potential distraction that can have dire consequences. So, Jason, I want you to take a big toot on your vape and blow it at your camera so we can see how blinding your vaping could be. So there was a couple seconds there where your visibility was distracted.
Yes.
And you could have been in an automobile accident in those 2 seconds. Now, is that the kind of vaping that you do when you're driving there?
I cloud chase in the truck. Yeah.
So you need to, if you're driving in the UK, you need to be careful because those cops in Surrey and Sussex, they could be very unkind to you.
Well, they don't.
Plus, if they found out that you were American from Oklahoma,
Yeah, they're gonna know I have a gun.
They're gonna be. Well, they might think you do. I mean,
on the ground, asshole.
Yeah.
Yeah.
We don't have those vending machines here in the UK. As reported by GB News, the police unit warned all it takes is a moment to become distracted and potentially cause a crash or even worse, a fatality. There are no laws prohibiting vaping. However, you need to be in full and proper control of your vehicle at all times. So this could actually just be if you pissed off a cop.
Distracted driving ticket. Yep.
And he could easily just say, you know what, I'm gonna find this fucking guy because I don't like him.
Yep.
He's vaping, and I'm saying in my judgment, that's distracting him.
Right.
Michael Redfern says he cloud chases the shit out of my car. Looks like Cheech and Chong's van.
Yeah.
He hot boxes while he's driving.
Hell yeah.
Yeah. It says here, firstly, any person who is distracted in any way could be guilty of an offense, whether that be smoking, vaping, eating, etc. In investigations that we conduct, any distraction would need to be dealt with on a case-by-case basis. So this is, again, arbitrary and capricious. Yeah. I'm liking those words, arbitrary and capricious there.
Me too.
But
it's up to the police officer arresting.
Exactly. Yeah. It's in their judgment. Oh, well, right. I think he was distracted. Now, I'm going to tell you, I'm not going to do it right now, but I have been known to drive with my elbow and be doing this.
Oh, yeah.
Trying to fill a pod while I'm on the freeway at 75 miles an hour.
Filling your Boro, sliding your Boro glass down.
Yeah.
Yeah.
I liked the old Boros. Now, I don't have one here. The original billet box had a little ball, and you stuck your bottle tip ball in there, and you squeezed it in there, and then you pulled it out, and you didn't have any of that sliding glass stuff. But I have an original billet box in the vape cabinet over there.
Yeah, dripping and driving's got Michael all crazy on the road.
That's why you need a squonker.
Yeah, like
for when you're driving and you're wanting to use a dripping type atomizer, but you got to have one with a bottom feeding pin.
I've been squonking all week.
Squonk. Well, I have 3 right here on my desk, but
I do too.
I got to clean these up and refill them, and I ordered like replacement bottles and everything, and I have everything ready, but I need to get the ultrasonic out, and I'm gonna go buy some Everclear tomorrow. And soak them good.
I smell mango coming from your car. Have you been vaping while driving?
If you're smelling mango coming from my car, you're in trouble because there ain't no mango in the green stuff.
No.
So, Kevin, not Kevin.
What?
You actually have a supply of the green stuff I sent you.
I have a half a liter.
Is it? You haven't been vape. I'm down to 2 bottles. I made 5, the same amount for myself, and I'm down to 2 bottles. But that's all I've been vaping.
Yeah, I vape at my desk, and I can't vape all day like you vape in your car all day driving around.
I don't vape in my car all day. I vape in my car for 30 minutes, and then I do a 45-minute treatment, and then I get back in the car and vape for 35 minutes, and then. But yeah,
cane vape. Yeah.
I'm only using like these little things right now. I already told you, but I have 2 of the Asmodus pod devices coming tomorrow, and I bought enough parts to build a 3rd one. I just wanted to test out the modular, because this thing is supposed to be modular, and you can put it together and take it apart, and the chip everything is independent, and you just squeeze it in there. So I bought enough pieces to make a 3rd one just to see what it's like.
Batteries are only like $10 for them, so that's pretty cool.
Yeah, I bought several of those.
Yeah, good.
But yeah, I just I'm just warning everybody that if you're in the UK on vacation and you're renting a car and you're driving, make sure you drive on the right side of the road, which is actually the left side of the road. and actually it's the right side of the road depending on where you are. they drive on the wrong side of the road, but it's always the right side of the road.
Right.
Oh, well, this is sucky. This is also for our European friends. This is from Filter magazine, and it says here that the EU call to ban public vaping could increase smoking. The European Commission, the executive arm of the European Union, is calling for member states to treat safer nicotine products like cigarettes by banning use of vapes and heated tobacco products from a wide range of outdoor spaces. A new proposed revision of the European Council's 2009 recommendation on smoke-free environments urges the 27 EU members to ban vaping and heated tobacco product use in the outdoor spaces of cafes, restaurants, workplaces, transportation facilities, healthcare, educational facilities, amusement parks, and shopping malls, among others. Outdoor spaces. Not Kevin.
What if
Outdoor
it's cold
spaces
outside?
where the wind is blowing and it's, any emissions that you expel will be wafted away in the breeze. Wafted away.
What if it's cold outside and you're breathing and your breath crystallizes?
This is Europe.
Right.
Oral healthcare is not really paramount in some of these countries. So halitosis is a big deal over there. So you could just be in the cold weather exhaling your cloud of funk, and that's okay. But your cloud of antimicrobial mango or cotton candy, that's offensive, and you could get in trouble for that.
Terrible.
In an outdoor space. See, I know that Kevin, not Kevin.
Not Kevin.
It's Kevin, not Kevin. That slowly but surely our freedoms are being eroded here in America. But,
not on my watch.
Little by little, they're chipping away, man. I'm telling you. I saw a video this week of the current VP and Democratic candidate for president being interviewed. And in that interview, she was saying that we needed to shut X down because of the massive amounts of what she called misinformation and disinformation. So, if she deems that your opinion is misinformation or disinformation, she's proposing that to add restrictions to X in the same, like they did, and she said, like we have done with Facebook. Now, we do have a thing called the Second Amendment. That's the freedom of speech, not Kevin.
But not on those platforms, except Elon's platform.
Apparently, she's already gotten Zuckerberg to agree to limit free speech on his platform. So she's saying that we need to put in place rules for X. Oh, that's the first. You're right. Second Amendment's my guns. Forgot. Thank you, William Webb.
We probably ought to save this conversation for later.
That could be a good idea. Actually, there's a whole thing at the end.
Oh, yeah.
It's already in the show notes. But anyway, let's get back to this. You can't vape outdoors in the EU, or they're trying to impose. They're trying to impose rules about limitations about what you exhale in outdoor areas. Anyway, In the name of protecting children, minors, and vulnerable people, the proposal also urges national governments to consider the inclusion of other areas such as private cars in vaping bans. The current council recommendation cannot fully achieve its protective purpose due to the lack of coverage of outdoor spaces, the proposal states. The World Health Organization, it continues, highlights that secondhand emissions from emerging products such as emerging products can expose people to potentially harmful levels of particulate matter and key toxicants. Key toxicants, not Kevin. So we understand, well, a lot of us understand that it's not, the chemical itself is not always the toxicant. It is the level of exposure of that chemical that becomes a toxicant.
Right.
So none of the levels that you, I, Festus, Raj, Michelle, Homicidal, Bill, Michael, none of those levels that we exhale when we vape reach the threshold of toxicant.
OSHA tested that. Didn't they test the vape shop air quality already?
Yes. About 8-10 years ago. It's been tested multiple times. And found to be
negligible.
Not
even on the radar.
Not above what they call background levels.
Right.
Yeah. So speaking of spreading misinformation, the WHO has adamantly opposed access to harm reduction options like vapes and heated tobacco products, frequently spreading misinformation about them. Yet research on so-called passive vaping has found that even in indoor spaces, exhaled vapor is so diluted and disperses so quickly that it poses little risk to bystanders. Other research has indicated that any risks to children are likely minimal and certainly far lower than those of secondhand smoking, which vaping typically replaces. So, not Kevin. I already showed you this video, but since we're talking about this particular thing right here, right now, I do have a video clip from about 2 or 3 years ago of our good friend Clive Bates asking a question at, I think it's the New Nicotine or e-cig forum. It's one of those gatherings that they have that I never get invited to. But here, let's play this video real quick.
Hi, Clive Bates from Counterfactual. Just a couple of observations, really. Is it possible that we've got this all the wrong way round, and these kids are using nicotine because their lives are tough, they're going through normal adolescent stresses and strains, and they're using nicotine to modulate the stress and anxiety of being a teenager, and it's actually helping them? That's the first part of my question. The second is it ever right to exaggerate risks to get the behavior change you want? Is it okay to imply by omission or commission that vaping is as harmful as smoking just because you want to deter young people from using these products? What's the ethics of doing that, misleading people?
Now, I apologize because this is an old video that I had already made and forgot that I made. So I had already put all the filters and the movement, camera movement and stuff. But if you pay attention to Kathy, she's the fourth from, or the fifth from the left, or the second from the right. She is now head of Truth Initiative. At this time, she was at FDA as a mouthpiece for FDA. And if you look at her body language when he asked this question, you can tell she feels the barbs
to get behavior change.
And none of them were ready for it, or none of them gave an answer. They just Thank you for your question. Yeah, I just thought that was apropos for this particular topic about spreading misinformation about them. So apparently they're fine with that. As long as their misinformation brainwashes you or the masses and gets the results they want, it's fine with them. None of them pushed back against that and said, "Oh, no, we don't do that." This is the same forum where Kathy stood on that stage and said, "Well, if a person asks an individual question, we answer that question on a one-on-one basis. But none of our media campaigns have approached that topic because we're using an abstinence-only program. We don't want them to know the truth. But if they ask a direct question, we will answer them directly." Yeah. So it says here, Dr. Roberto Sussman, who has been on this show, very good friend, Dr. Roberto Sussman, a senior researcher at the Institute of Nuclear Sciences, National Autonomous University of Mexico, is a physicist who has studied secondhand vapor. He previously told Filter that droplets from the components which typically make up particles from vapes readily evaporate and gas disperses in a very short time, under 1 minute. He compared this with air pollution originating from combustion sources with complex toxic chemical compositions, which remain in the environment. That's for indoor spaces. Meanwhile, the justification for banning smoking or vaping is much weaker outdoors than indoors. Tobacco harm reduction expert Clive Bates of the Counterfactual, consulting with Filter, he says, the real purpose has always been to make it harder to be a smoker and now a vapor by excluding people from social settings. The addition of vaping to widespread outdoor bans of smoking would be a particularly harmful form of stigmatization. Stigmatization's advocates believe. There's no comment, or there is a comma there, but anyway, it would reduce the visibility of reduced risk alternatives and play into the widely believed myth that using these is as harmful as smoking, cutting the chances of more people switching from deadly cigarettes. So, yeah, I'm not even going to read the rest of this because we all know if you tell people that this is bad for them, they're not going to try it. They're going to keep smoking. And if you make it harder for them to use the product in their day-to-day life, they're just going to keep using the product that's already hard for them to use in their day-to-day life.
Right.
Plus, the over-stigmatization of the product has made many people believe that it is more harmful than smoking, which is ridiculous. Ridiculous. Good evening, all you legends. That's Dan saying hi to everybody.
Hey, Dan.
Even not Kevin is included in that. Even
Thank
Kevin's.
Thank you.
Not Kevin.
And Kevin.
I don't know. He's not here.
Well, he should be here.
He should have a generator just for the purposes of that. Just for the purposes. So it looks like this local Raleigh news channel has decided that they're going to do a documentary about vaping, but this is their news coverage. There's a couple of videos throughout tonight's show from the same channel, all focusing on vaping in preparation for their long form documentary special. But here, let's watch this one.
State health officials say 1 in 8 high school students in North Carolina are vaping. In middle school, that number is 1 in 20.
The vaping epidemic among young people is the focus of a new WREL documentary, Gen V, Teen Vaping in North Carolina. It premieres Thursday. WREL's investigative documentary reporter, Kristen Severance, produced Gen V. She joins us now with what she learned. Kristen.
Oh, Deb, Gerald, I learned so much. We spent months speaking.
I learned so much. We spent months speaking to teenagers. That's what she's going to say.
To doctors, people who work for the state, and a lot of young people. They all told me the same thing. Kids are finding ways to get vape products despite the legal age being 18. We wanted to know how and what the state is doing with millions of dollars it won in a lawsuit to fight back against this epidemic.
Wait.
Now she said 18.
18 is 21.
Now I'm gonna go look here. I'm gonna go look because I had this discussion with somebody on Twitter that this past week about the age to vape in different states.
Well, yeah, so, not every state has adopted the federal guideline of T21.
Right. Now I actually did find out that there is one state who still has it on the books that it's 18, and their attorney general said we're not enforcing the government, the federal 21. And then Alaska held off and didn't adopt the 21 until this year. So there's a couple
yeah, we do have states' rights, so we don't have to abide by federal guidelines if that state's not involved in the master settlement agreement. I think that was one of the prerequisites to the
all 46 states are in the master settlement agreement. North Carolina is in the master settlement agreement.
Well, but they also are a tobacco main production state. So yeah, there's some funny business there, I think.
Oh, yeah. The state law in North Carolina is still
18.
It says in North Carolina, the minimum age to purchase vaping products is 21 due to federal law. North Carolina law also prohibits the sale of tobacco products, including vaping. So they're observing the federal law, but the people in this video are stupid enough to say, well, in North Carolina, but it, Michael Redford says that it's 21 federally, but some states ignore that shit. Yeah.
Yeah. Well, we ignore the cannabis laws and
in the journey to be as factual as possible, I did find out that 23 states have not adopted in their local state law. They haven't passed new legislation, but most of them are actually following federal law. But yeah.
How hard is it for young people to get vapes?
I don't think it's difficult at all.
We heard it from teen advocates at the Poe Center for Health Education in Raleigh.
Because many shops don't ask kids for their ID.
We heard the same thing from a teen in treatment for vaping.
I always paid like an upperclassman to go get them for me.
And from teens we met on the street.
Like just about anybody could get access to vaping.
800 shops in Wake County can sell tobacco products, and more than 13,000 stores sell tobacco products across the state. You must be 21 under federal law to buy tobacco products. In North Carolina, state law is still 18 and up.
Wait,
but they don't
rewind
card.
that.
I can tell you that much.
Rewind that.
How far back do you want to rewind?
Right there.
State law is still 18 and up.
But
a little bit more. Right there. There you go.
And more than 13,000 stores sell tobacco products across the state. You must be 21 under federal law to buy tobacco products. In North Carolina, state law is still 18 and up.
But they don't.
So
apparently they're not part of the United States. No, they have this thing called preemption.
Yeah.
So you can technically in the United States, as members of our country, you have agreed to the most restrictive version of the law. So if 21 federally, technically you're supposed to regardless of whatever your local law is, whatever the most restrictive version of that law is what you have to follow.
Right.
Now, in Louisiana, when I was a kid and I turned 18, it was 18 to buy liquor.
Right.
And for about 3 months, I was legal to buy beer. And the federal government said to the governor of Louisiana, if you do not raise the drinking age to 21, we're not going to give you your federal highway money for maintenance of your highway. So 3 months after my birthday, the state law passed, the government signed it into law, and the drinking age was changed to 21. And they did not include a grandfather clause for those of us that were legal for 3 months, which was completely not fair.
Well, okay, so they're discussing 21 and older buying tobacco products that no kid uses because the ones that are federally legal or authorized are not being used by youth. So they're actually discussing a moot law because they're not talking about products that are actually even federally legal for consumption in any state.
Well, technically, yes. I mean,
right.
No, the big tobacco products are legal,
but no youth use those. That we've already cleared that up. We've already cleared the air. Nobody uses a Views or nobody uses a Enjoy.
They're claiming that Enjoy but that there's a very small percentage, like 8 or 9% are using that or something.
Well, we'll find out from this video what the
majority,
kids are buying in the store by what they're showing on the screen here in a second.
Yeah, I mean, the vast majority are Chinese disposables that are not legal anyway.
Right.
But technically, so, this is not legal here either. And, neither is my Blueberry.
That's a flashlight.
Neither is my billet box. None of these products are legal.
Yeah.
This actual store-bought liquid here that I haven't even opened yet, it's not legal. None of these are
insect repellent.
Yeah. But anyway, let's keep going.
Don't card. I can tell you that much.
We heard this so often, we checked stores ourselves.
So I'm going to put this on you. This is a camera. And we just want to see if you get carded.
We sent in 21-year-old WRAL News production assistant Delaney Kearns into vape stores all over Raleigh, including some on NC State's campus.
What happened?
I just pointed at it. I said, can I have that one? Thank you so much. And then I paid and left.
Now, not Kevin, does that young lady look 21 to you?
Yeah.
She looks 21 to me.
Yeah.
Now, I have been a huge proponent of this from years. I personally think that every sale, regardless if the person looks 50 or if the person looks 20, the person looks 10, every sale should be swiped with an ID verification system because if it ever comes up that you did accidentally sell to a minor, you actually have a legal defense because you swipe for every sale.
Yep.
So if that person has a
fake ID or using someone else's ID
that uses an actual, if you buy a fake ID from a high quality ID man, he's used a real ID and changed the laminate.
Photo.
And the barcode on the back of the ID is still legal. At least then you can say, I swiped the ID and it came up 21.
Right.
Now, the law in Texas specifically includes that legal defense in the law. So I don't understand why anybody that sells any age-gated product, whether that's alcohol, whether that's tobacco, whatever, they should be paying that extra 25 cents or whatever it is per transaction just to have the legal defense.
It's too expensive.
I mean, if I had a vape shop, I would be carding every sale. I'd put a fucking sign on the front of the store. if you don't have an ID, don't come in here because
Vape stores aren't the issue. It's convenience stores and disposables. And
well,
we know
I will
yeah.
dispute that, not Kevin. I will dispute that.
Okay.
There are plenty of vape shops. Now the problem is when the FDA do their sting sales, they hit the big retailers that they can hit. But the state compliance numbers show a fairly good number of vape retailers that are getting stung. I mean, I know for a fact that 3 of the local vape shops here all got stung.
Well, they're also starving because they've been almost decimated in their clientele that can, that even think that vaping is better for them or to use vaping instead of smoking.
Right.
So,
but when now my and this is my criticism to some vape shops, not all vape shops, but and it's been a few months since I've been in a vape shop. Now I actually did visit a vape shop in Pennsylvania because I had to replace one of my, whatever this thing is called, Nords. My Nord. And the young man that was in there by himself. He was watching TV. He didn't card me. And he looked like he was in a hurry to go back to watching whatever it was that he was watching on TV.
Patrick, you look 50, 60 years old, dude.
I know, but I'm just saying he was really just interested in getting the sale done and going back to watching TV. The vape shop here, the guys are playing video games half the time when you go in, and they're not really focused and serious about what they're doing. And that could just be, in my experience, a lot of vape shops are run that way.
Yeah. Hey, bro.
And I need to get back to playing whatever video game I'm yelling. Oh, Dan says old man yelling. But you get the idea. They're not taking it seriously. And I think, like I said, if I had a vape shop, I know for a fact that there's a module that you can add into your iPad commerce that basically requires the ID check before the sale can be completed. As far as I'm concerned, that should be turned on. And if that costs a couple extra cents per transaction, go for it, because you can get busted for this. I mean, as long as you're doing the ID swap, 100% of the time you have an active defense.
Never got asked about my ID.
This happens at every shop on day one.
You guys don't have like elf bars or anything. Thank you. Have a good day. All right. Well, thank you so much.
Did anyone say, oh, you don't have your ID, you can't get this?
No.
The next day, we hit 6 more stores, including a drive-through.
I just drove up, told her just a very generic one, and she grabbed it for me, and I drove off with it. No questions were ever asked about ID or age.
Thank you so much. You have a good one.
Just 2 out of the 12 total shops said she needed an ID to buy a vape.
And you have all these products. You don't even vape.
No, I've never vaped a day in my life, and I don't plan on it.
These stores should be asking for an ID. But advocates say having the state law differ from federal law makes things unclear.
It's confusing, it's conflicting, and it really just...
It's not, though. Technically, it's not. FDA can come in and do federal age checks in North Carolina and still fine every one of them, because that is the law of the land. But yeah.
Creates, kind of a loophole. Is what it does.
Lawmakers recently passed vaping legislation in North Carolina.
Well, I think it's a pretty big problem.
But the bill does not raise the age to buy tobacco products to 21, something advocates say would have made the biggest difference.
If we can delay people ever using until they're 21, the likelihood of addiction is...
Now, Virginia.
Oh, God.
If you actually think that that's going to happen, I don't know when not Kevin started smoking, but real Kevin started smoking when he was like 3. And, and he was, quite able to buy cigarettes then. I never had difficulty finding cigarettes when I was a kid.
No.
No, it's going to be the same problem. Just because you make the law one thing doesn't mean that kids aren't going to be kids, and kids are going to outsmart you.
Right.
They may not 100% of the time be able to, but there's always going to be a wino or an older teen, a 21-year-old guy standing, or willing to go in and buy you a pack of cigarettes because somebody did it for him when he was 21.
Yeah, Mallory says, and how's it my fault for kids willing, break the law.
Yeah, but this person actually, I don't know what world Virginia lives in that she thinks that just because the law is 21 that's going to happen, because it isn't. It simply isn't.
It's very, very low. And that's one reason we have laws around being 21.
Why not change the age?
I think that's a good question.
It's a make work.
I don't know if I have an answer for it, but I think that's a good question.
So remember, North Carolina is one of the last states to still allow 18-year-olds to buy tobacco products. We get into all of this. The law.
That's absolutely not true either. There's 23 states. 23 states that have not adopted the 21 as their minimum age to buy. I counted. So there, not Kevin.
Right. What?
What? Oh, you got to do the pointy thing because Kevin's not here.
Yep.
Yeah.
All you little kids, all you little shits.
Oh yeah, you gotta use some profanity too. Yeah.
Yeah.
He does that as well. Yeah. So last week, no, I'm not gonna enable ads. Last week we briefly covered the Donald Trump post on Truth Social about how he saved vaping and that he's gonna do it again when he gets reelected. Now, I'm not gonna get into that argument again. I reached out to Steve from Beantown Vapor and from John Nathan from Casadaga, and both of them almost spit out whatever it was they were drinking when I asked them about that tweet. But yeah, it was kind of funny. It says, what Trump gets right about a key harm reduction tool. He went on Truth Social rant about how he saved vaping and Democrats should be taking note. He did not save vaping. I'm just going to say it again. It absolutely did not save vaping. Now, he did draw some more scrutiny to vaping by putting it on a national stage and meeting with some people, and said some decent things when he was talking about, protecting American businesses and, helping American businesses get legal. Briefly, him and, his head of Health and Human Services, Azar at the time, I think it was Azar, said, well, we're going to have to look into a streamlined pathway for these businesses. That never fucking happened. So he didn't save vaping. See, here's the thing, Kev. Not Kev.
Right. What?
The president of the United States is the head of the executive branch. Head of the executive branch. And the Department of Health and Human Services, which oversees the FDA, is part of the executive branch, not Kevin. So, I mean, if he was going to actually save vaping, he could have written one of those things that they call an executive order, forcing FDA to develop or create a streamlined vapor pathway for small businesses. He could have done that. He didn't. He could have just instructed his, Health and Human Services person, Director of Health and Human Services, to get to work on figuring out a way to process those applications in a timely way.
He could have not brought vaping products into the PACT Act and created hurdles for people. He could have not made it not part of the PACT Act.
Well, he could have, but he could have written another executive order. But again, I'm not a fan of executive orders in general.
No.
The Constitution has a separation of powers specifically to prevent the president from legislating from the Oval Office. I'm a huge fan of the fact that the president is the person in charge of executing the law, not creating the law, because we don't want a king anyway.
He could have not sold us out to Chinese disposable vapes by banning pre-filled flavored pod systems.
There is that. See, I really don't think that he understood the difference between a Juul with a pre-filled pod and a pre-filled disposable. It's the same fucking thing, except you can't recharge the battery.
Nobody in government seems to know what the fuck. Sorry.
Yeah, see, no, William Webb just repeated what I said, except in more succinct words. Yes, I am not a fan of executive orders. I feel like that's a violation of the separations of power. And it is a tool that presidents have used to legislate from the Oval Office, which is not his job. However, if you're going to claim that you saved vaping, then show me where you did, because I can't see that you did.
Nope.
So, no, Michael Redfern, there were quite the elf bar was already out by this time.
There were fumes. There were bang disposables.
Yeah.
They were like cigar shaped. They weren't cigalikes.
No.
Yeah.
But yeah, the elf, not the elf. There was a pre-elf bar.
Yeah.
That was out then. It wasn't as popular and it wasn't as widely spread, but it was out there. They were not all cigalikes.
No.
But anyway, let's go down here. It says there are a few sentences I'm more loath to speak than Donald Trump is right. And yet this past Friday afternoon, I reluctantly had to acknowledge that Trump was at least somewhat on the correct side of one of my pet issues. And there's a quote here. I saved flavored vaping in 2019, and it greatly helped people get off smoking. I raised the age to 21. He didn't do that. Well, I guess he signed the law that the legislators passed. So I guess he can say that. I raised the age to 21, keeping it away from kids. Kamala and Joe want everything banned, killing small businesses all over the country. I'll say vaping again. Now that is a reach, but he is reaching for a couple million votes.
And they believe it.
Now, not Kevin. You are a passionate vapor.
Yes.
Passionate vapor.
Yes.
But and this is something that I have surgically destroyed on several vape shows that I was on the Sample Box show once, and I brought up single issue voting. Now, if you were guaranteed that on day one of the Trump presidency that he would sign an executive order forcing FDA to create a streamlined pathway for vapor products, would you vote for Donald Trump?
No.
See, and that's the thing with this myth. Now, there will be, and I promise you, there are some people in our community that would completely agree to that and say, yes, I will vote for Donald Trump because he's going to save vaping. But there are quite a few people in our community that are people of color, that are, maybe Haitian, I'll throw that out there. That are not very happy with Donald Trump right now and would never vote for him because of that, or LGBTQ people that are very liberal in their lives and would never vote for Donald Trump. There are pro-choice vapors that feel that the autonomy of their body for having the freedom to have an abortion, which some issues with, but there are people out there that vape that are girls that want to have an abortion if they get raped, or if they whatever, or if they just promiscuous and get knocked up and don't want to have a kid, that are not going to vote for Donald Trump because he's going to say vaping, because they feel like their freedoms or liberties have been changed in a different way. So I don't think that everybody that vapes is going to vote for Donald Trump on day one if he were to announce that I'm going to sign an executive order on day one. So I don't know if this is a great strategy. I mean, he could get a couple million votes out of this for sure, but I don't think he's going to get everybody that vapes.
No.
And I already knew that your answer was going to be no, so I put you on the spot. But you've already been quite clear on social media, so it's not like I outed you as a
good
Trump hater, but you already did that.
Yeah.
But yes.
It's pretty simple. Yeah.
Yeah. So to paraphrase a famous drill tweet, whatever that is, a DRIL tweet, you do not, under any circumstances, gotta hand it to Donald Trump. I doubt that he could string together a sensible paragraph on the benefits of tobacco harm reduction, much less capitalize it correct or coherently. His relationship to vaping is purely transactional. Like I said, he's looking for votes. At the height of the youth vaping panic in 2019, pro-vaping interest groups persuaded his administration that a comprehensive ban on flavored electronic cigarettes, which was pushed by some public health advocates, would potentially alienate voters in key swing states for the 2020 election. Trump opted instead to ban targeted only flavored cartridge-style e-cigarettes typified by Juul, hoping this compromise would be politically safer. The policy allowed vape shops to sell other e-liquids for refillable tank systems. It also left the door open for disposable vapes, which have since exploded in popularity and caused even more trouble, as far as I'm concerned, even though the youth numbers are really low, lowest ever. But that also gave our enemies more ammunition.
Right.
Thankfully, courting the We Vape, We Vote movement was insufficient. Thankfully, courting. Oh, see, this guy, I forgot this. Yeah, Jacob doesn't like Donald. I forgot. Thankfully, courting the We Vape, We Vote movement was insufficient to return Trump to the White House. Vapers are relatively small demographic. Estimates vary, but it's probably around 15 million Americans, and restrictions on nicotine and tobacco use are broadly popular. It may be the case, however, that young adults who vape, the threat of e-cigarette bans is highly motivating, and that even a few thousand votes in the right places could end up mattering in an extraordinary degree. That was the theory that swayed Trump in 2019, and it's likely his motivation for appealing to vapers now. The fact that Trump is suddenly paying attention to this niche issue of flavored e-cigarettes is a sign that the campaign is desperate for any potential wedge against Harris. Yeah, I've seen some recent numbers that show that they're pretty evenly. One poll says he's ahead by 2, another poll says she's ahead by 3. Pretty close, and the plus or minus margins on those are 2 to 3, as many as 5 points in some places. So that's pretty tied.
Yep.
So yeah, few people in the right places could really change the election. The polarizing response to youth vaping in 2019 are illustrative. This was the peak of moral panic driven by escalating rates of teen use and frightening outbreak of sometimes fatal lung illnesses, although the latter was eventually linked to adulterated cannabis products. Many Democratic and some Republican leaders responded with calls for prohibition on flavored vapes, including Tim Walz. Another reason not to vote for Kamala. I'm telling you, just write my name in.
Kamala.
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 Kamala. Anyway, then the governor of Minnesota and now the party's vice presidential nominee, Democratic Governor Gretchen Whitmer. You know what I call her, right? Caitlyn Jenner.
Oh, yeah.
That's Governor Caitlyn Jenner.
Yeah.
Governor Gretchen Whitmer of Michigan went even further, imposing an emergency ban that in an early draft threatened up to 6 months in jail for anyone found in possession of 4 or more flavored electronic cigarettes. I would be in jail for a long time if she came to my house.
I got like at least 100 years here on my desk.
I mean, over there, I have over like 700 flavors.
Life.
I'd never get out. I'd
Life
be in
in
jail
prison.
forever.
Put it in your, yeah, never mind.
I just, you know, they'd leave my corpse in jail for a couple of 100 years just to get my sentence up. In hindsight, all of this was a clear overreaction. Youth vaping rates have plummeted despite the Trump administration's decision not to ban all flavored e-cigarettes. In 2019, the National Youth Tobacco Survey found that more than a quarter, 27.5%, of American high school students had vaped at least once in the last 30 days. In 2024, that figure has fallen to 7.8%, a 20% decline in what, 5 years or
4
so?
years.
4 years?
4 years.
A 70% decline in just over 5 years is what this says. Experts have warned that legitimate concerns about teens getting hooked on vaping have overshadowed the benefits of making a safer alternative to smoking available for adults. So this trend is extremely encouraging. Youth smoking rates have also fallen to historic lows, with less than 2% of high school students reporting past 30-day use in 2023, the most recent data available. So, yeah, I mean, they're all in an uproar. We just watched a video from Raleigh, North Carolina, where they're whipping up people into a fear, moral panic, paralyzing situation, and the numbers are the lowest that they've ever been. You do realize that the internationally observed threshold for being considered a smoke-free country is 5%.
5%.
5% is the goal. And youth vaping is at 7.8%.
That's a World Health Organization number.
Yeah.
5%.
That's the internationally recognized number.
Yeah.
So if youth vaping is at 7.5%, that's almost smoke-free. That's almost vape-free, according to their numbers.
And smoking's already at, what, 2%?
Well,
actually, smoking is like even it's at 2%.
Yeah. So American youth
we're already
are
smoke free,
yeah,
but not nicotine free.
Well,
nicotine's not the enemy.
Well, it is their enemy.
Right.
They, I don't remember how long ago we did this, but we went through all of the body part organizations' mission statements about 2, maybe 3 years ago. And every one of them had changed their mission statements on their website from being smoke-free
to nicotine-free.
Nicotine-free. Because they knew that it was going to be smoke-free, that we were going to hit that goal, and it was going to happen.
Yep.
So they said, what are we going to do if we don't have a dragon to slay?
They pulled the wool over our eyes.
They changed it to nicotine so that they have a mission. Otherwise, they're going to be out of work.
Right. They don't get grant money.
Yeah. So now it's instead of it being a smoke-free future, it is now a nicotine-free future.
Those bloom bucks are addictive.
Yes. So yeah, they had to change their goal mid campaign.
Mission creep. Yep.
Mission creep. Yep. So anyway, yeah. Oh, I already read this. Yeah. The sustained decline in youth vaping is likely due to many factors, including raised awareness from parents and teachers, increased misperception of vaping is actually dangerous versus potentially contributing to long-term health risks, the shift to remote schooling during COVID, the removal of popular flavored Juul products, which predated the federal ban on flavored cartridge products for vapes, and the federal law raising the age to purchase to 21. The flavored cartridge ban, Trump's compromise versus banning all flavored e-cigarettes, likely played a role too, though it's worth noting that such devices have largely been replaced by a flood of mostly illicit, disposable e-cigarettes, a reminder that prohibition is often difficult to enforce.
Trump closed vape shops, and he also he sold us out to Chinese disposable vapes.
His inaction. He didn't actively do anything.
True. Right. Yeah.
He didn't actively do anything to close vape shops, but he
Are we
didn't
sure?
step in. He didn't step in and tell FDA, I need
Was
you
that a bargaining chip for his tariffs?
Maybe.
Never know.
But him going, basically telling FDA, I need you to process these applications. I need you to be as fair as possible. I don't want there to be no rules, not
Right.
Kevin. This is a product that we are inhaling into our bodies. So
Right.
it should be as safe as humanly possible.
Right.
It will never be harmless.
Right.
But yes, we need to have some barriers. We need to have some rules and say you can't put this in. This you need to keep this out of it. You need to test your flavors, blah 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 blah. I totally agree with that.
Okay, so
there should be rules. We should be on the level of the EU, the TPD.
Okay, so you agree that partially dismissal of Chevron deference is detrimental. I'm being a little facetious here. You don't have to answer me, but if we don't have any more fences around the ballpark, then are we just further opening the door for free reign of whatever industries, you name it, without any repercussions to those industry leaders?
Well, again, there should be regulations. There should be safe products. We should have reasonable and responsible regulation. Now, if they set out some thresholds, I don't particularly think. I think that the FDA should have the staff needed to do enforcement,
right, and testing, right.
And the testing has always been at the responsibility of the manufacturer,
right.
There should be these levels are okay, these levels are bad. That's what I want. I want you to tell me what I can make and what I can't make,
right?
And let me make it. Give me a target to hit,
right?
But now, here they've got a target, and then they're moving the target, and they're
right,
and,
yeah.
And that's what the judge said. Hey, you're being arbitrary and capricious because you're not even. You gave them guidance, and then you changed the guidance, and then you didn't publish the guidance, and then you're denying applications for stuff that you didn't even tell them that they needed. So yeah, give us some rules. And vape manufacturers, a lot of these guys, when it came time in 2014, when they announced that they were going to have regulations, before they even instituted them, when they right. announced their proposed rule and the ANPRM opened up and everybody went to the FDA website and made comments and did everything, a lot of labs, a lot of guys that I knew that were using food safe lab jumped up to ISO 5000 labs.
Right.
If you had just said, we need manufacturing standards and we need rules for ingredients and what thresholds and what levels we can hit and yada, yada, yada. And just produced an actual standard, a manufacturing standard for us to follow, they would have done it. all the, the medium to small or the medium to large vaping companies had already invested hundreds of thousands of dollars in labs. So a lot of them thought, oh, we're going to be ready for this, because they thought, well, of course they're going to give us some sort of manufacturing standards, and that's what we're going to go by.
Right.
And they didn't.
Right. Yeah. Well, this story goes further into cannabis about how the Democrats have further nurtured cannabis legalization, and it's a way magnitudes more dangerous of a chemical in both driving and just daily life and just being a normal human.
And those products don't have to be registered.
Right. And it's just so screwed up. Everything is upside down.
Yeah.
Everything.
Yeah. So, the thing is if Trump wanted to say that he saved vaping, there were actions that he could have done that would have saved vaping, but he didn't do that because it was not politically convenient or whatever.
We don't know the backstory. Yeah.
The fact that he had Mitt Romney sitting beside him at that fucking meeting just pisses me off.
Mittens. Can't even drink caffeine mittens. Yeah.
That guy was never going to, he's about as prohibitionary as you can possibly get.
Yeah, mittens.
Oh, here we go.
Hey, I've got to take a bio break. Give me a minute. Go ahead, keep going.
Oh, now you're not going to let me read this article, you bastards. Can I incognito? Can I do that? It's giving me the shits over here over a link that I opened earlier, and it was fine. A bio break. I haven't heard that one in a long time. Let me try this in a private window. Private dancer. Nope. Oh well. It's not going to let me read this article, so we're going to skip it. We're going to go to the next one. The article was essentially saying that the restrictions in the UK have actually increased the funding for illicit tobacco and organized crime in England. But since it's not going to let me open it, we will just skip that topic. Skip it. All right.
I've got that article open here.
Yeah, because it won't let me open it.
Hang on.
It says you have, because I have my ad blocker on. I think it's not letting me open it because I have ad blocker. Because I have to pay to read the article now.
Illicit tobacco and vape trade fueling. Here we go.
Yep. Well, you share it.
Yep.
Okay. You got to rub it though. You got to rub it. I can't read that. You're gonna have to read that.
Hang on a second. Yeah, I'll read it. So illicit tobacco and vape trade fueling organized crime in London. Philip Morris warns. London's black market trade in illicit disposable vapes and cigarettes is fueling serious and organized crime in the city, according to one of the three convenience store owners. One in three convenience store owners. So 1/3. And an undercover investigation and study by Philip Morris Limited have revealed the extent of the problem, prompting urgent calls for action from retailers and industry experts. The data from KAM and commissioned by PML found that youth tobacco and vape use, violent crime, and money laundering linked to the illicit trade are higher in London's poorest communities. So, much like Australia, their richest communities are getting firebombed by the tobacco wars. This is falling upon the poor people, the poorest areas of London. The cost of living crisis was also discovered as a contributing factor. So, with all the shopkeepers citing economic hardship and the demand for cheaper products as a driver for illicit use. So, are cigarettes more expensive in London than vapes, or are vapes more expensive than cigarettes?
I think, from what I understand, it's that cigarettes are super expensive. I don't know what the comparison is, but cigarettes are super expensive.
Yeah.
Like,
well,
look at like Australia is like $30 a
maybe
pack
$50 a pack. Yeah. So during a recent 2-day sting, over half of London stores were found selling illicit cigarettes and vapes. Led by former Scotland Yard Detective Chief Inspector Will O'Reilly, the investigation revealed a disturbing link between illegal products and the rise in crime. So he's quoting here: eliminating the illegal cigarette market alone could strip organized crime of profits equivalent to funding over 115,000 new police officers. So what he's saying is getting rid of the illegal cigarette market alone could strip organized crime of profits equaling equivalent of 115,000 new police officers. That's a lot of money.
Now,
that is a lot.
Michael says that if you want more than 2 mil, you have to buy illicit in England. I don't think the capacity for a tank is like 2 mil, but you can buy a 30 mil bottle. I'm pretty sure.
Yeah, I think they still sell 30. Well, I don't know. I think most of them are like 20 mil bottles.
Well, you buy 30 mils, but they're 3 10 mil bottles in a box.
Okay. Gotcha.
Yeah, I've seen those. Yeah. But yeah, I mean, this is something that we've been talking about. Oh yeah, disposables. We've seen plenty of actually we've said it plenty of times. If you create restrictions that are unreasonable, people will go to the illicit market.
Well, okay, what I've seen in England has been the shift to really it's either a unfilled pod system, like a disposable pod, like an Eco Nano or a Vapresso, those type of systems. And with the rechargeable battery, first they started out, it was the batteries that were causing ecological issues. Then it was, so the government was then buying everybody, 1 million people, a vape device. So to me, it's all this jockeying of these companies getting their bids in for what vape the government's going to buy for the citizens. And the ones that won out were the Vapresso, like Eco Nano 2 or whatever they are, and pretty much is put all the disposable market out to pasture. They're trying to bully their way through it that way.
The selling point for most of the disposables that are available here are the number of puffs that you can get on them, right?
Right.
So if you have a 2 mil capacity law,
you can only get those 10,000.
You're not going to get those ones that say 1,000 puffs on the side or whatever.
Right.
And Michael talks about the 20 milligram cap, even for nicotine salt. Well, personally, that wouldn't bother me. I vape 12 milligram freebase, and if you put 20 milligram freebase in a disposable,
oof,
people are going to be yelling about how harsh it is.
Not happy.
But they would vape less because they would get eventually. This is the thing. Everybody's like, "Oh, vaping is harsh. It's heavy in my lungs." Blah 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 blah. And I'm like, when you smoked your first cigarette, I guarantee you coughed and it was harsh then, and then you just got used to it.
Right.
Same thing. If you give freebase nicotine a chance, you're not gonna vape it as frequently as the one that's smoother.
Like a 3 milligram freebase and Right.
Now, everybody says, well, the disposables don't have the kick, whatever, blah, 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 blah. You can build, I mean, look at this form factor. This is a variable voltage device with a 2200 milliamp battery in it that's got I think it's what is this? This is a 0.39 ohm cartridge, coil. They could build this into a disposable.
Yep.
And then they, obviously this is heavier materials, but they could make a plastic version of this easily. And it wouldn't even need the 2200 milliamp battery.
It would need a screen on it. Yep.
It's only going to, so, I mean, the technology could be, is there to make a good disposable. It might be and you make 1 million units of it, your prices are going to be pretty low.
So this Kamlesh Ratad, a London retailer, he says that retailers bear the brunt of the illicit tobacco and vape market, just as they do with shoplifting and in-store violence. So what they're saying to fix all this, retailers are calling for immediate action, stronger enforcement, and harsher penalties. Police powers to shut down rogue stores, better access to regulated smoke-free alternatives like e-cigarettes, heated tobacco, and they left out snus. They don't even have snus or snuff or pouches in England,
Oh, they do.
Well, they do, but they don't legally.
They have nicotine pouches. They don't have snus.
Snus, yeah. 40% doubt that illicit use will drop by 2030. So they're already poo-pooing what they're calling for. There's no fix to this.
There's no money.
No.
So in the UK, like illicit tobacco sales is policed by, I believe, Trading Standards is the name of the organization that's responsible for that.
Right.
And they don't have the fucking budget to go to every bodega, convenience store, vape shop. The one video that I watched, the guy said we have like 3 people for this whole district or county or whatever. So again, enforcement is a problem for every locale that I've ever seen because they want everything, but they want it cheap. And yes, the My Blue, which was technically the Von Earl, was a great refillable pod system. And or not refillable, pre-filled cartridge system.
Yeah, like a Jewel, yeah.
Refillable battery with a replaceable pod. It was a great device, and that's why Blue bought it. That's why Fontum bought it. From I think it was, what was the name of the company that had it before My Blue? Molecular Labs or something like that. They screwed over. There's a lot of like backstory, and I won't tell. This is Phil's story, but Phil had pre-filled cartridges for the Von Earl, and David Gerlitz was the spokesperson for Von Earl until they sold to Big Tobacco. But anyway,
then they went to the other, the other guy,
And Fontum was actually, in my opinion, one of the fairest of the big tobacco companies in that meeting with Trump. Like, he defended flavors. Like, he's like, people like the flavors, and it helps people quit smoking, and like he was reasonable.
Yeah.
So he went to the mat. So I won't shit on Fontum for that.
Who was the movie star that was in the ad, the commercials on TV for Blue?
Stephen Dorff.
Okay.
Yeah, he was the bad guy in the first Blade movie. He was, as a child actor, he was in the movie with River Phoenix called Explorers.
Yeah. So, he was that they actually morphed their campaign, their ad campaign to guys, men, probably women, sex appeal. Yeah.
Considering Enjoy had a campaign with Courtney Love.
Right.
You know,
Yeah.
That might have shot them in the foot too.
Yeah, true.
But here, we'll move on to this one here. This is from Australia. Short video.
Well, Labor's plan to eliminate the illegal selling of vapes on the black market faces a major hurdle as pharmacy chains announced they are unlikely to stock e-cigarettes for sale. From October, adults do not require a prescription to buy vapes from pharmacies across the country. The Pharmacy Guild of Australia warns members that they would not stock e-cigarettes.
So, okay. So you make a law that says that these can only be sold in a pharmacy and you have to have a prescription. Then you throw out the part about the prescription, but you leave it only available in pharmacies. You've removed everybody's right to import them because it used to be in Australia.
You would get a prescription and you could import your own nicotine.
Right. Right. So now they've cut out all the small businesses that were servicing the smokers. And they handed it over to the pharmacies, but the pharmacies are like, we don't want this. We're not going to sell that.
We don't want our stores smelling like stinky cigarette smokers.
Well, not cigarette smokers. They don't want it smelling like cotton candy and mango.
Well, I don't know. I think they're being classist with the clientele that are coming in.
Well, I don't think that the pharmacists are going to do what vape shops do.
Right. They don't have time.
You go to the vape shop, you sit at the counter, and somebody in a good vape shop will sit down with you and talk to you about how you smoke.
Well, Patrick, the profit margin's not there. The profit margin's not there. Prescriptions rule.
Well, yeah, compared to what they make off of pills.
Owner pills. Yeah.
Yeah.
Yeah. It's the profit margin's not there. It's not worth their time. They're not selling that shit.
Yes, but bogus vitamins are okay. Festus, yeah, definitely. Nutraceuticals are a big business, and there's a good markup on those. But here, that's what the industry used to be called, the nutraceutical industry.
Yeah.
I had a friend that was an Herbalife representative back in the day. They had taken the pill, and they had fallen down the rabbit hole, and they were very they proselytized the wonders of their supplements.
Scam.
Now, I work in healthcare, and yes, some vitamins, when you're not eating properly and you're not naturally acquiring those, are helpful. And if you have
eating
during cold
now,
flu
with our
season,
food? Yeah.
vitamin C and zinc
Niacin.
are helpful.
Yeah.
Niacin, yeah. But yeah, there are quite a lot. There are quite a lot of those supplements that people take. Saw palmetto and St. John's wort, and actually St. John worts is very harmful.
Yeah.
If you
immune
take too
system
much of
problem.
it.
Yeah.
Yep. Not good for you. But here, let's watch this real quick. I want to eat a cookie.
The use of cigarettes among teens may be going down nationwide, but e-cigarette use is still holding on to appeal, and even more so in Mississippi, where the rate of teen smoking is more than double the national rate. Tonight, our senior reporter Quinnis Jones asked why.
Tonight, vaping.
Now I have to stop mid-cookie. Now she said, alarming rate here.
Mississippi, where the rate of teen smoking
I need to go further.
nationwide, but e-cigarette use is cigarettes among teens may be going down nationwide, but e-cigarette use is still holding on to appeal.
Still holding on to appeal, but dropped 70% to 7.9% from 27%. You see there?
From 27 to 7.
I mean, this is Now, I can't really say too much bad about Mississippi because I did go to high school in Mississippi, where the grasp of the English language may not be as good as in other places. However, there is no way that you can say it is holding strong. She's saying that it's holding strong when the national level is the lowest that it's ever been since the introduction of the product. Alarming that it's down 70% in the last 2 or 3 years or whatever, how many years, to 7.9%. Almost at the 5% smoke-free level.
Right.
So here, I got to do this here. Blink. Look at that. Kevin showed up.
Hey, Kevin's here.
Have a good flashlight, will you, people?
You're going to mess up. Oh, there you lightened up a little bit.
Is there a fake Kevin in here somewhere?
Yeah. Hey, what's up, Kevin?
Crap.
Not Kevin's right above you.
Oh, not Kevin. Oh, my God. Hi, guys. How you doing?
Did you get power back?
Oh, there's just chaos all over the place. It's all right. Everything's fine.
Here, Kevin, I'm going to reload. I'm going to restart this. We're only 8 seconds into this video. I want you to I want you to hear the nonsense here. Now, we've already covered while you weren't here. We already covered that youth vaping is down 70% in the last several years. We went from 27 point something percent to 7 point something percent in the last like 3-4 years or whatever.
Yeah.
And now, just with that in mind,
yeah,
that we have this drastic decline in youth usage of vaping products, and 2 point something percent, which is the lowest cigarette use ever.
Oh, did we? What is it? 2 point what?
2.9%.
When was that for 2023 numbers?
2023, which is
really
the last
we got their numbers.
Available.
Okay.
All right. That was in a previous article that we just read.
I'm ready. Okay.
All right.
The use of cigarettes among teens may be going down nationwide, but e-cigarette use is still holding on to appeal, and even more so.
Again, 70% decline, Kevin.
Clutching at straws.
Okay.
In Mississippi, where the rate of teen smoking is more than double the national rate. Tonight, our senior reporter Quinnis Jones asked why.
Tonight, vaping remains a significant problem among teenagers, especially here in Mississippi. While the national trend shows a decline in cigarette smoking, vaping still poses a serious threat.
Vaping is a problem with teenagers because of their developing brains, and they're highly susceptible to addiction.
Doctors say it's not just the nicotine that has parents and schools concerned, it's the chemicals like formaldehyde.
The chemicals, Kevin. Chemicals.
It's the chemicals. Kevin, not Kevin. Is that true?
Well, he stepped away. I think he went to go get a cookie too.
He's like, screw it. The other Kevin's here.
No, my body creates
that are inhaled through these devices.
Inhaling these into your lungs can cause damage to your lungs. So
it's maybe.
Now, this is a Hattiesburg physician. That's where I got my bachelor degree, is at Hattiesburg, Mississippi, at the University of Southern Mississippi.
The
South will rise again.
I'm embarrassed by this fellow.
So there's sort of a two-edged sword.
According to the Campaign for Tobacco-Free Kids, nearly 10,000 students still smoke traditional cigarettes in Mississippi. Almost 21% of high schoolers are using e-cigarettes. But local schools are fighting back against vaping. The Lamar County School District is working with lawmakers to make it harder for teens to get their hands on these products. One reason is because vaping devices often resemble everyday objects like USB.
Now, I'm pausing it here just so that you can see these devices that they're showing. These are
on Avenger.
Smock.
On iJoy Avenger.
Yeah,
it's like none of these 2015.
None of these look like flash drives, right?
That looks like a smock. Baby TF-V8 tank.
What are they going to do to make it even harder for teens, since it's already illegal for them to have the products? Mississippi is one of the 21 states.
Well,
How are they going to make it even more illegal?
Well, let's make it 45.
Drives, making them difficult to detect in schools. But even with the discretion, the effects on teens' health are clear, both in the short term and long term.
Nicotine does have change on how you act and think and feel.
Right.
Yes, it calms you down. It releases dopamine, which makes you feel better.
He's not telling a lie.
It's neuroprotectant.
Mm-hmm.
It maximizes mental focus.
Triple Bandit.
It can have effects on your blood pressure. It can have effects on your alertness and your performance.
Yes, it makes you more alert and it makes you perform better.
Just like having a hard on or any other. Yeah.
Meanwhile,
leave my
Hattiesburg
boner
Public
alone.
Schools recently accepted a nearly $79,000 settlement from a class action lawsuit against the vaping company. This just another reminder that this issue remains front and center in the state's fight for a healthier future.
Now, do you hear the earnestness in this young lady's voice when she's reading this news article?
It sounds like she's panicking. That was a class action extortion. Go ahead.
Yeah, let's. I'm going to play a few extra seconds just so that you can hear the earnestness of her voice.
Just another reminder that this issue remains front and center in the state's fight for a healthier future.
The state's fight for a healthier future.
What are we going to do? Abner.
You know, the earnestness was there. Like, she's like really.
Mrs. Stevens is vaping again.
She's just really emotional here and wants to make sure that you know the kids aren't vaping. Kevin, I just ate a whole chocolate chip and pecan cookie.
Did you mention Chris or did you just ignore it completely? Triple Bandit. Yes, ma'am.
I need a chocolate chip cookie vape now.
Michelle.
That actually sounds really good.
I know, right?
What is wrong with that woman? Is she okay now?
Well, she's calmed down, I think.
So, Patrick, I don't know where you are and where you're going to go, but
I'm going to go to hell eventually, according to my mom.
Well, I kind of agree with her. I guess I never really gave a shit enough to really look at what the Surgeon General said in 2016 about nicotine in the brain. So I had to do that the other day. And Charles, Dr. Gardner, hasn't really responded to it specifically. But it's inferring smoke and it's suggestive and all that. But it actually says at the number 5 says the evidence is suggestive. Now, what does that mean to you? Suggestive.
That's a correlation or, again, causation correlation. It suggests.
Okay. Because they use other words like infer, and then they use suggest.
You could extrapolate.
Right. And then they use inadequate to infer, but they use suggestive for nicotine exposure during adolescence. A critical window for brain development may have lasting adverse consequences for brain development. But above, they talk about fetal, they talk about smoke, they talk about smoking.
We've never tested humans, you know,
right?
But all of the teenage rats,
and those in tobacco control, yeah.
All of the teenage mice and rats that we tested. Yeah, that we gave. Yes, Mallory, a butter pecan pie vape would be awesome.
That sounds really good too.
I actually have butter pecan flavoring over there, but it's not great by itself. You gotta soup it up, and I haven't really tried any souping up yet.
I don't want to dwell on the nicotine brain bullshit, but I actually went and looked and I read the wording and I thought, well, they're just full of shit. So there's my tweet.
They use their what do they call it? Their squirm words. They're squirming.
Word salad. full of shit.
Yeah, make them squirm, Kevin.
They're full of shit.
Now, Kevin, you actually did send a link, and your arrival is perfect because this is we're at your link.
Thank
now.
you.
It says here, Walmart workers sue over tobacco fees levied for health plan trust.
Good for you guys.
Yeah. So a group of Walmart employees has launched a class action lawsuit accusing the retailer of charging an unlawful fee related to tobacco use.
Mm-hmm.
Now, Kevin, if they win this lawsuit, that opens the door for a lot
A
of
whole
other
big
companies
ass can. Yes.
to really get in trouble because they've been charging their employees $25 extra per month for a tobacco use. A lot of insurance companies, they want to charge you that $25 if it's a penalty.
Well, Patrick.
So what they do, Kevin, is they don't call it a penalty. What they do is they say, we're going to give the non-tobacco users a discount.
Yeah, that's right. That way you can get away with it. It's all in the wording, isn't it?
Uh-huh. So workers allege that Walmart charged them between $30 and $190 every pay period as a surcharge for utilizing company-provided insurance. The fee is for workers who admitted to using tobacco products, and households with more tobacco users are charged the higher penalties.
Yeah.
The plaintiffs claim the policy, which effectively raises insurance premiums for employees and their families, is discriminatory and violates the Employee Retirement Income Security Act, a law that regulates the practices of private insurance companies.
Which I had
The
no
funds
idea
taken
existed.
from paychecks are deposited in a trust account used for Walmart's health plans. If employees quit using tobacco, they are still subjected to the surcharge until the next enrollment period. A policy,
of course,
Department of Labor regulation. The plaintiff said each of them continues to lose roughly $1,150 in pay annually. Yeah, especially since you can't update your tobacco use thing.
Yeah,
you've quit.
There's only one problem with this whole thing. It's defined by the United States, at least, as tobacco. So they're going to say, well, that's what they said it is. It's tobacco. So I'm very, very hopeful, but I'm also a realist. So.
But Kevin, if you say that you didn't, if you're one of those people at Walmart and say, no, I don't smoke.
Right. You're going to lie. Yeah.
And then you get a blood test
or a swab, a mouth swab. Yeah.
Exactly.
You go to the doctor for your yearly physical, and they do a battery of blood, to check your cholesterol and to check your blah 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 blah. And then you come up positive for nicotine, and you say, "Well, I'm not smoking anymore. I'm using a nicotine patch, which is a FDA approved nicotine replacement therapy product." Now, if you go in there and you have a nicotine patch on your arm and you piss positive or blood positive for nicotine, does that qualify you for continuing your tobacco-free statement?
Sounds like a legitimate case.
You say, hey, I'm using FDA-approved stuff. I'm not using tobacco. This is a pharmaceutical product. This is not tobacco.
Would it show up the same? I guess.
Yes.
That's the only question.
I mean, it's just nicotine in the blood.
So there you go. But
so, I mean,
the definition, the gateway, and the addiction word were the three things that I clearly said we have to debunk.
Now, you mentioned gateway, Kevin. So they argue that using this is a gateway to cigarettes.
It hasn't happened for me
now.
yet.
If the nicotine in this is a gateway to the nicotine in tobacco, how is the nicotine patch not a gateway to cigarettes?
It's only a gateway back to cigarettes, best I can tell.
What if you're just one of those people that say, you know what? I read a study that said that nicotine helps with my mental focus, and I'm going to go get a nicotine patch. I've never smoked a cigarette, and I'm going to use a nicotine patch.
Yep. Mhm.
Yeah. So
freely on their own accord do that.
Yeah.
Right. Yeah.
So does that disqualify them for their $25 discount?
If it's a tobacco product.
It's not though.
Nicotine's
It's a
tobacco.
pharmaceutical product.
But nicotine is tobacco.
But it's not nicotine. Nicotine in
I
a
know
pack
that.
is not tobacco.
And you know that. But
So-
you got two voices. And you got the insurance company.
This is a whole can of worms that could be opened
It's a
right
huge
here.
can of worms.
What about
Huge can
university
of worms?
What about university students that are using nicotine late at night for studying efforts like med school?
Yeah.
The way I understand it,
As long
they're
as it's
med
in a
student-
patch.
right? Med students are using it as a performance enhancing university level to pass their boards or whatever.
In fact, Kevin, not Kevin, I believe Dr. Gardner said that that's been going on for decades.
Yep.
I don't know. I wasn't there.
Hey,
But
Kevin,
yeah, I
Kevin,
think it was him. What?
Look, I already played this video, but you weren't here.
Mm-hmm.
So I'm gonna play you a video of Clive Bates asking a question at the e-cig forum, like 3 years ago.
Oh shit! All right, I'm ready.
I just want to hear the music again.
Hi, Clive Bates from Counterfactual. Just a couple of observations, really. Is it possible that we've got this all the wrong way round? And these kids are using nicotine because their lives are tough. They're going through normal adolescent stresses and strains, and they're using nicotine to modulate the stress and anxiety of being a teenager, and it's actually helping them. That's the first.
So, he's asking the same
remember it.
question that we've been saying for several years on the show, Kevin, and that Charlie Gardner now
has
for the future of for everybody's edification. we will refer to Dr. Charles Gardner as Chuck or as Charlie anytime we want.
Looking up the word edification. Just run.
Regardless of whether or not he likes being called Charlie or Chuck. Because he came on our show and said, I don't like either of you.
I don't like either of you.
That's what he said. That's exactly what he said.
So
I think he said,
he's
I don't like
pouting,
either.
He's
either,
pouting
I think is how he
on
pronounced
social media that somebody and actually they were referring to cocaine as Chuck or Charlie. But
really?
Yes. I was unaware that was a term that was used for cocaine.
No.
Now, not Kevin has corrected me several times on my knowledge of the naming of illicit substances,
as he should,
because
I
he's
encourage
much,
it.
When in Rome,
he's probably used quite a few of them and knows, but I didn't. So
I think Charlie actually said, "I don't like either of you," not either.
Either.
Well,
either.
Well, he is much more,
he's refined.
Finally, refined, but
demure.
Yeah, I mean, to go along with your question about using nicotine as a med student, Clive asked the question: What if you have it wrong and that these people are using this medicine, using nicotine medicinally to cope with stress and stuff like that?
They weren't listening to Clive.
If you look at the faces of the people that he's asking this question, and let me just go on to say who never answered his question.
No, they didn't answer his fucking question.
You can tell that they know.
They know. Of course they fucking know.
That he's calling them on. He's calling them out, but
decorum.
Anyway,
Professionalism.
I played this. The second part of this video is him asking, how much misinformation is it ethical for them to misinform people? If it achieves the goal that they want, if if it's successful in brainwashing people, is it okay for them to lie? Essentially,
how far can we go? That's what they do.
But anyway, back to this.
It's
So
encouraged.
this means participants who become tobacco-free partway through the plan year, or who complete a smoking cessation program can avoid future surcharges, but not retroactively reimbursed for any surcharges already paid in that plan year, the lawsuit reads. This violates the ERISA's requirements that participants receive the full award after satisfying the alternative standard.
Mm-hmm.
So again, this is going to open up a can of worms if the courts agree.
I like a big old can of worms like this.
Well, yeah, me too. But
Walmart,
Walmart,
kudos to Phil for finding.
Walmart's a big employer too, Kevin. They're one of the biggest retail companies in the United States, if not the world.
Right.
They are international. They have Walmarts in Mexico, and I think they even have some in like England or something.
All I know is when a doctor or a nurse employed doctors and nurses and future participants in the employment role I believe it was Chicago was the first one I remember hearing of. It may not have been the first, but you can fight amongst yourselves over who the first may have been to ban people from working there if they showed nicotine in their system. Period. You can't work here anymore, and you can no longer be employed here like U-Haul does. What the fuck is wrong with
U-Haul?
Fucking what is wrong with fucking U-Haul, right?
Well, I mean, here's the thing, though. I mean, most states in the United States are right to work states.
I know.
Which
there's discrimination
too. Which really sounds weird.
No,
the right to work, because it really protects the employer and not the employee. Now, in a right to work state, you do have the right to not work.
That's correct.
You have the right to quit anytime you want.
That's correct.
But your employer also has the right to terminate you at any time
for any reason
or without reason.
For any reason, no
reason. They
reason
don't have to justify why they if they
No
fire you and make allegations, they better be true.
Right. Unemployment can come into play and all that.
Right.
Yeah.
I don't see that this Walmart case is going to impact that many employees because they already shortchange people by shortening their number of hours per week that they can work where they're not eligible for
well, that changed.
Benefits.
That changed.
Did it? Okay.
Yes. Now
I was kind of leaning on him for a
Obama.
second.
That changed.
Okay.
You don't have to. You don't have to be considered a full-time employee to receive benefits now.
Okay.
Okay. Yeah, that's true. That's true.
So
fuck, he's right.
McDonald's, who probably employs almost the same number of people. This is 2.1 million people on the payroll at Walmart.
Yeah, payroll doesn't mean part-time, full-time. It's payroll.
No, but again, the 32-hour threshold is no longer the law of the land since Obama was president when he passed the Obamacare law.
Thanks, Obama.
If nothing else, it brings it to light a little better. And again, the definition itself is wrong. Period. Nicotine itself is wrong.
No, because again, I can say, hey, I don't smoke. I don't use tobacco. This is a patch made by
approved. Yeah.
This is an FDA. This is not considered tobacco in the law.
I don't like that Jason can go home. Wait, let me rephrase. I don't like that Patrick can go home and drink 7, cases of Hennessy all night and come in the morning and he's fine, but I'm not allowed to smoke a fucking cigar.
I would never drink Hennessy.
Whatever it is. I don't. Well, I didn't think Jason would.
I have better taste than that, Kevin.
I've never even had it.
I'm not a rapper.
No baby oil in the background over there. What?
Listen here, Diddy.
Diddy about Patrick and Jason.
I am not Sean Puffy Combs.
If it's any consolation to me, it's that it's brought up nationally, and it's objected to nationally from the biggest company in America, isn't it? So
one of, if not the
biggest employer. Maybe it's the biggest employer. The U-Haul guys, if you're making X an hour and you're sitting at U-Haul making X an hour and you want to go outside and smoke a cigarette, now you cannot. And I don't understand that.
Well, now his name is not Diddy anymore, not Kevin. It's Diddler.
The Diddler, yeah, the Batman and the Diddler.
Oh my God!
You know,
careful who your heroes are.
What's that? Oh, Justin Bieber. That just, you know, that just changes that whole relationship in a lot of people's heads.
Thank God they weren't vaping. So
this week,
I really like that article.
It'll come out that he gave him a vape, you know, when he was a teenager.
I hope
Mallory,
you guys watch this case.
Mallory always brings up the dildo word.
Well.
That's a bird, isn't it?
Yeah, it's a yeah.
I don't know, diddler.
Well, diddly diddler.
Here, this is a second update from that Raleigh, North Carolina. You know, they're building up to their full length vaping documentary.
Oh my God, I heard about that or saw it or something.
Yeah.
If you looked inside a North Carolina high school classroom right now, 3 of the students inside vape.
Now, 3 kids in a single high school?
They're not as smart as
classroom. He said classroom.
Oh, okay.
How many kids are in the classroom?
How many kids are in the classroom? Yeah.
If that surprises you or sounds like a big number, it's because it is. It's why WRAL focused its newest documentary on teen vaping in North Carolina. Documentary reporter Kristen Severance produced this. Tell us, why is it so important? People need to see it tonight.
We learned so much.
We learned so much.
First thing that really surprises China makes almost all of the vapes in the world, 90%.
China.
Gotta blame China.
You remember now? Jason was here, but you weren't here, Kevin, when we went over the testimony of the we had Blumenthal and Durbin and the current North Carolina congressman, Republican congressman, where he was quite livid that these Chinese companies were taking the place of American companies, and those Chinese people could be putting anything in that vape. And then he went on to say that the Native Americans were also now starting to manufacture vape products on the reservation, and those people could also be putting anything in. Yeah, he was quite racist.
That's pretty brave.
Banned flavors in their country, they still make and ship them to the United States. We also learned how easy it is for young people to buy vapes in North Carolina. We sent a 21-year-old news production assistant.
We sent a legal adult.
We don't care how they get them.
Shops, and only 2 of them carded her. Now, you missed this, Kevin, but I eyeballed that young lady, and I thought she was in her mid-20s.
Yeah.
If you're going to really try to pull off a sting, you need to get a 21-year-old that looks like she's 18.
Like she's 14.
Why don't they get a county sheriff and actually get a teen under 21?
Because now that's something that we should have mentioned earlier. It is illegal. Illegal for a news channel to send a minor in to buy this product. It is illegal.
I would hope it is.
Yeah. But yeah, they could have worked in conjunction with local law enforcement.
Yep.
To video.
That's the thing. They lie about them too. So there you go.
They need to shadow.
As long as they blur out the name of the business and the face of the person, it's legal.
To 12 different stores all around Raleigh. 10 of them sold her vapes without ever requiring her to show her ID. And then we learned this confusion over the federal law and the state law. So federally, you have to be 21 to buy tobacco products.
Now they've updated their chart, because this is not the chart that I saw the other day.
Nope.
North Carolina, the law is still 18. Advocates say that would make the biggest difference when it comes to stopping young people from vaping.
The state law, Kevin, not the federal law.
Well, see, I know that, and it's because that was what 2019 when it was changed,
right?
And these states have been dragging their balls through, baby oil, watching P Diddy for the past fucking 5 years, fucking around, and they're like, yeah, we don't really want to make it go up yet.
It doesn't matter though, because again, 21 is the law of the land, regardless of whatever the state does.
Right.
Now, Arizona, I actually have a quote from the Attorney General of Arizona who says, federal law might be 21, but we're not using any of our money to enforce that 21.
Yeah, because fuck all that. We don't care.
Now, if federal law enforcement comes in, the law is 21.
Yeah, well,
because it's their money that's being used to enforce the law.
He said, she said, yeah, we don't care.
Yeah. But
Virginia looks like she's about to blurt out a Bible verse or something.
Well, remember, we already talked about Virginia before Kevin came. She was in the previous video.
Oh my God.
More than 90% of everyone who's addicted became addicted in their teenage years. If we can delay people ever using until they're 21, the likelihood of addiction is very, very low. And that's
now, Kevin,
Say that again.
If we can delay them using until they're 21, they won't be as addicted as if they.
My fucking
now,
word.
When you were gone, we mentioned that you started smoking when you were 3.
But yeah,
and even though the law of the land was 18 at the time, you were still able to acquire cigarettes when you were 3.
I just stole them from Dad. I had my rubber ducky and I had my old golds. I just was a happy little fucking camper.
Regardless of whether the law is changed to 21 or whatever, kids that are going to do dangerous things are going to still do the dangerous thing. They're just going to find a way.
We could do them new whippets, right?
Those are not legal, but we did those.
What are they now?
I used to know exactly what street to drive on in Jackson, Mississippi to purchase cannabis when I was in high school.
What are they, Jason?
It's like a big tank of nitrous oxide. It's flavored nitrous oxide.
Yeah, it's nitrous oxide.
Kind of baking bullshit. And they're
going to try it for science.
I wonder, they're flavored. I know.
I was at a party in college, and they had a big old tank of whippets. And the girl, we were at a girl's apartment. She had a glass coffee table.
Uh-oh.
Galaxy gas.
Oh.
And I watched the guy like deep inhale a fucking whippet, and he just collapsed right through that glass table.
Ooh, that's right.
And the miraculous thing is that son of a bitch did not get a single cut. I think
but was he addicted?
Drunk. He was so drunk already that when he did the whippet, he just collapsed. And
that's awesome.
Now the girl was pissed off that that her parents were going to be pissed when they came home and the glass top table was destroyed. But,
I think it is a Bible verse.
That's the reason we have laws around being 21, because their brain is almost fully developed at that point.
Oh,
she's talking about premature inoculation.
I just want to know what credentials Virginia has.
Premature inoculation.
She's talking about when people's brains develop.
Premature inoculation. Now, this is why I'm here, right? This is why I'm here. Okay. Premature. Let me write that fucking down. Premature.
Oh, this is going to be in the tweet.
How many other shows would give you that? None. Zero. Go see Grim and see if he comes up with that kind of shit.
Let's see what timestamp we're at. That was somewhere after the 2 hours and 3 minute mark. I'm going to remember that so that we can
premature inoculation.
Premature inoculation, right there.
This is without baby oil, by the way, just so you know, all of you.
Vaping legislation did just pass in North Carolina. Lawmakers did not raise the age. We asked them why in tonight's documentary.
All right, Kristen, can't wait to see it. Again, that airs right after this newscast and right after this topic back in the headlines following former President Trump saying he vows to save the vaping industry.
We covered that already, Kevin. You don't
Please,
have to.
thank God. I don't want to.
Very man who raised the age when he was president.
What again? He did not. Congress did.
He said the state decided against raising the age.
No, they just didn't
China.
include it in their current legislation. They
Okay,
did
all right.
a product registry instead.
No.
China.
Which also shows how complicated this all is. Here is
No, it's
what he
not.
said. He said, I saved flavored vaping in 2019, and it greatly helped people get off smoking. I raised the age to 21, keeping it away from the kids. Kamala and Joe want everything banned, killing small businesses all over the country. I'll save vaping again. Now, we should say here.
Now, if he did save vaping, how does he have to save it again? Because
Right.
it would have already been saved.
It's a double.
Harris hasn't taken a clear stance on vaping in 2024. She did support a 2015 California bill aimed at keeping kids.
Did you see Janine showed up over in the Rumble?
Janine. People.
Janine, our very favorite lady.
Pre-Nick what?
Canada.
You gotta give Janine. Yeah, we pre-niculated earlier.
Prematurely.
Yeah. I wrote it down. I forgot.
Premature away from cigarettes, but that's about it. Regardless, Trump did raise the age, and
no, he did not. Congress did.
These people just don't know what the fuck they're even talking about.
Did you not take civics in school?
What's wrong with these people?
Now he did sign the law that Congress
encouraged,
passed.
Allegedly, and signed, and
He
gave a
didn't-
little pressure.
He didn't veto it.
Well, Mexico was going to pay for it.
Well, all those bad hombres.
North Carolina doesn't really seem to care about that, along with 7 other states. Kristen touched on it just a moment ago. You see, despite the federal age limit being 21 now, the age here is still 18 to buy tobacco products. How is that?
It's still 18. There. That's what I thought.
Possible, you ask. How can they say no to Uncle Sam? Well, technically, there's nothing really stopping them. The rule doesn't force North Carolina to play ball, but it does punish us if we don't.
Now, why are they putting the FDA logo on this? FDA has no control over the age. Why is the FDA logo there?
Pick me.
Oh my God.
It's all about propaganda.
Withholding federal money that we rely on. Now, ironically, in this case, it's funding for substance abuse and mental health services. You know,
what is that
the people
through?
you go to see when you're addicted to tobacco products.
Tell me, Mr. Newscaster, what is that through? Is that the sign our amendment? Huh? Bet he doesn't say it.
But it isn't a lot of money. And in fact, North Carolina would only lose about $5 million. Now, this fight over age limits might feel a bit familiar to some of you because we've done it before. Back in the 80s, after years of debate, in 1984, Congress raised the alcohol age to 21. WREL covered this story extensively. Lawmakers at that time really meant business. If states failed to comply with that, they would lose 10% of their federal highway funds.
And that's what they did to me. That's what they did to me right there.
If I can get in my truck after a 12-hour shift and drink a couple beers on the way home, this is turning into communist China.
That's right. I was grandfathered too, Patrick. Quit your bitching. 3.2
for North Carolina right now. That would be about $1.5 billion. That's a much steeper punishment than the new tobacco rules. And no surprise, all 50 states fell in line with the feds back in 1988. Now, if this all seems like a lot of business and politics and bureaucracy, you're right.
Yeah.
And frankly, if you're waiting for lawmakers and lobbyists to sort all of this out for you, it might be a while. If you ask me, the best weapon against any problem.
Who's asking you?
Who is?
You're a fucking you're a journalist. You're not supposed to have an opinion.
Hey,
is
he
knowledge.
just ran a 2K.
And tonight, you're going to learn a lot about vaping and kids in this state. The new WRAL documentary, Gen V, Teen Vaping in North Carolina, starts at 7:30 right after this newscast.
So listen, I knew this was coming. I saw a tweet or something and somebody put it. I didn't look at their fucking stupidity. Now, Gen V, again,
Generation Vape.
You're giving them license to be cool. I'm Gen V. Look at me, you fuckers.
Well,
What is
actually,
wrong with you people?
Amazon has a show, a TV show, actually, that is a brother or sister show to the show called The Boys, which is about giving people superpowers. And they have a show called Gen V already.
Okay. So they're stealing it as well.
They can sue them for that.
Holy Christ!
But they give these babies this drug while they're in their mommies' bellies, and they come out with superpowers.
But is it this news company that's sponsoring this specific thing, or is it?
Yes, they made the documentary.
Holy Jesus! Did they ever make it? Never mind, forget it.
They probably got a Bloomberg grant to do it.
Probably here. But speaking of other frightening things here, grim truth: vaping inside leaves film of thick, oily, toxic slime all over your home that can seep through your skin.
I told Phil to try harder.
You need to lick that wall, Jason, to see if there's any thick, slimy.
There's nothing on here.
Toxicants there.
Oh my God!
Vaping is a oily film of chemicals across the surface, and scientists say. This is boring. I thought it was going to. I'm not going to sit here and read it off. If I'm going to read it, I'm just going to read it. Though the cloud of vapor you exhale may only be visible for an instant, researchers found that it settles into a thick, oily layer of toxic slime.
Is that pre-niculation?
Premature inoculation?
Well, no, this is actually like environmental inoculation.
I gotta type it. I can't.
Environmental inoculation. Yes. As the sticky film of vape chemicals lingers countertops or sofas, it can then seep into skin that comes into contact with the surfaces. Though previous research has touched upon the dangers of secondhand vape smoke, this new study from the University of Technology, Sydney, those damn Aussies,
oh my God,
highlights yet another way e-cigs might harm those who aren't even using the devices. The liquid packed into vape pens will also the liquid packed into vape pens will into most cases
just stop.
Will into most cases have nicotine in it. But it can contain a number of other chemicals too. These include propylene glycol or glycerol, as well as flavoring and other additives. When heated, it can produce toxic chemicals like formaldehyde, acetaldehyde, acrolein, a dangerous air pollutant. Research. Now, to get acrolein, you have to vape at like 800 degrees.
Well, I just set mine on the bonfire for a little while and then just take a quick
VG
burn my
will
finger.
vent acrolein, but only after it reaches 800 degrees.
Yeah,
and it's usually not even toaster. That's trace amounts of acrolein. You have to get up to like 1200 to get massive quantities of acrolein.
Oh, then I drip it on the toaster. Good coils.
Your toaster's still not going to get that hot, Kevin.
Go straight in.
Kevin heats up his butter knives on the range and then vapes it off the hot butter knives.
And then I tattoo Simon Chapman's initials in my arm and shit. Yeah, that's what I'm doing. I'm so pretty, oh so pretty. Premature inoculation. I keep forgetting the E, don't I?
Yeah.
That needs to be copyrighted. There's no doubt about that. Nobody else can use that word. If you have a show, you have to credit us every time.
No, you have to credit Kevin. Not Kevin. Not Kevin is the one that came up with it.
You have to credit Kevin. Not Kevin.
Copyright not Kevin 2024.
Jason, you have to tweet it and then
wait till I clip it. I'll clip it and then he can do whatever he wants.
No,
well, tag him.
Tag me in it. Just tag me in it.
Well,
Dr.
that's how that's how clusterfuck came about.
Clusterfuck came about because of our wonderful friend Judy. Can I
Al's gonna get a
read?
hold
Can I
of this.
continue to
Go
read
ahead.
now? Are
I'm
you going to
sorry.
keep
I'll mute
interrupting me?
myself.
All right. Dr. Richard Kim from the UTS School of Life Sciences, who led the study, added visitors to the homes of friends or relatives who vape might not realize they're being exposed to harmful chemicals just by touching bench tops or sitting on the couch. People who vape need to understand that this does not affect them, not just affect them. Researchers also warn that the chemical film left over from vaping may have particular consequences on babies if their mums are exposed to it during pregnancy. Previous research has shown that vaping during pregnancy can cause serious harm to the baby, including the risk of stillbirth, low birth weight, and developmental problems, Professor Oliver explained. I don't know if that's true or not. Researchers sought to find out whether oily vape residue left on surfaces may also have detrimental consequences. The study team, led by Dr. Chantal Donovan and Dr. Kim from UTS School of Life Sciences, tested out their theory using mice. More mice studies, Kevin.
Squeak, squeak.
They exposed pregnant mice to e-vapor or e-cigarette vapor residue on towels. Their offspring were then infected with flu, and their immune system response assessed 7 days afterwards. Researchers looked into immune responses in lung and bone marrow cells. They found that in the exposed offspring, a specialized type of immune cell called a CD8 plus T cell didn't work as well. CD8 plus T cells are essential for producing an effective immune response against infections as well as cancer.
Sure.
Researchers observed blunted activation of the cells in mice whose mums had been exposed to e-cigarette residue. Kevin, I guarantee you 100% of the time that those mice participants in those studies, not voluntary, and every one of them had shortened lifespans because of the experiment.
I imagine they did.
They all had to be killed to be tested.
Of course. Well, of course. And that's why we can't test our children. And they want to. Oh, believe me, they do.
Yeah. So here we go. Doctor, this is the mythical right here, Kevin. Third-hand exposure. Dr. Donovan said the study revealed for the first time that third-hand exposure to e-vapor while pregnant could result in significant long-lasting effects on lung and bone marrow immune cell responses in mice. She said the study supports the growing body of evidence of the dangers of e-cigarette exposure and highlights that even third-hand exposure during pregnancy could have long-lasting effects. But as the study...
Stop letting Minnie and Mickey have sex now.
Well, stop letting them vape after they had sex. But as the study published in the American Journal of Physiology, Lung Cellular and Molecular Physiology was conducted on mice, we can't know that if the same effect would be observed in human babies.
My best mini
know that the same effect would be observed in human babies. So the whole point of this article is to say that vaping can do these bad things, but oh, by the way, we really can't.
There's not one cleaning tip in the whole fucking thing. The whole thing, not one cleaning tip.
Nothing about wiping surfaces down with a warm towel with some soap on it or anything like that.
I recall 2015, 16, 17 cloud comp days, let's say, and people on occasion would say, there's film on my window, and I clean my windows once every couple months, probably on my car. I don't drive it a lot, but I like a clean window. I do. And I've never noticed film.
I will say that in my car, that after a while you get a little bit of,
on the glass.
On the glass, and you have to hit it with the foaming window cleaner, not just the blue stuff, but the foaming window cleaner.
All right.
And let it sit for a while and then wipe it away and it's gone.
But is it because I don't vape enough? It's because I don't cloud chase, or is it?
I don't either, Kevin, but after a month or two in my car, the windows, it does develop a fog.
It doesn't seem any better or worse than when, well, it's way better than when I smoked, but
well, sure.
It doesn't better or worse when I did or didn't. Like in the work truck, it didn't, so I do like the window down if that helps. Maybe that's why. I don't know.
Yeah, well,
Who knows? No cleaning tips though. If they're going to say that it's bad for your environment, you should be able to throw in a tip or two, a Lysol or two. Very disappointed in
If
these
you're
people.
going to criticize, at least give solutions.
Tip your hat at least.
Makes sense.
Windows get dirty. Yeah, that's what I mean. That's exactly what I meant.
Yeah. But hey, Kev.
What is it?
And
really
not Kev. Kevin and not Kev.
Is it really already? Well, I haven't been here as long, so yeah, okay, I got you.
This is what happens. This is what happens when you're late, Kevin. Just, get yourself one of those Generac.
It's time for the Vape Cats X of the Week.
Here, kitty.
So we have a couple tweets here. Kevin sent this one last week from PMI Science.
Oh, yeah.
No, this is from Kevin. The science on smoke-free products shows that these products can be a much better choice for those adult smokers who would otherwise continue to smoke. So why are we delaying the access to smoke-free products for adult smokers? And then there's a video of like an old lady scientist and a young lady scientist looking at a
Jason, what are your thoughts on that tweet?
What are my thoughts?
What are your thoughts, sir, of that before I delve in? He's going to hurt himself.
He's thinking really hard over there.
Are you niculating?
I did shake a bottle earlier.
As long as he's not lactating, that's all that we're really
see.
So the science on smoke-free products shows that these products can be a much better choice for those adult smokers who would otherwise continue to smoke. That's a no-brainer.
Yeah.
So why are we delaying? Why is PMI delaying it? Why are their attorneys delaying access to smoke-free products?
See.
That's my why are they delaying it? PMI.
What a great question. And my question is, why is everybody else letting them? Why aren't they on the ball? No, they're not. None of them are. Nobody cares. That's what I was thinking when I read it. I thought, well, this is a great tweet. In and out of context, it's different though, isn't it? So yeah. And we don't care what Patrick thinks. I just thought, I like this tweet.
I don't need to add anything. Not Kevin had a very intelligent response.
Yeah. Mine is more of why isn't Simon and all the other, twits, baby oil lovers, why are they still lathering themselves up and not saying that? I don't understand.
See now, Kevin, I have to interject now and say, why do you think anybody here cares about Simon Chapman?
Well, I don't think anybody cares.
He's not really relevant here.
He's not relevant anywhere.
I don't think he's even relevant over there, but
no.
Anywhere, anybody.
I saw a quite aggressive anti-Simon Chapman tweet today that apparently he's come out quite vocally against wind turbines.
Oh God.
He's been doing
and
that
made some sort of statement, and a person made a chart showing that he has no qualifications at all. He's not a medical doctor. He's like just completely like bam, 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 like hit him like 8 times in that one tweet. That was pretty cool. So then we have this other one from Kevin.
Oh,
it says here, this is from David Hooper.
Oh, yeah.
Except I just
out of our,
for some reason,
to my knowledge, out of our circle, I think there was like one person that followed him, and that may have been because of the tweet. Where'd it go?
Yeah, I hit the wrong button. I have to bring it back up. I closed it.
And I want to credit Phil for that one as well, but I'm not positive. I don't know.
I just followed him.
That or not.
It says, I have begun vaping nicotine as a smoking cessation tool. In the past 2 weeks, I've gone from smoking over 20 cigarettes a day to just 2 yesterday. Well on my way to 0. Here's a thread of my journey for those who are interested.
Yeah.
I'm assuming you want me to continue to read.
You can highlight each one, or you can.
I have smoked for over 38 years. Generally, I smoke between 20 and 25 cigarettes a day. Over the years, that's a lot of smokes, and it's obviously taking a toll on my health. I am asthmatic. I cough a lot. I become breathless walking upstairs. I also smoked weed for a long time. I smoked bongs for the past 10 or so years. For no other reason than convenience, I've smoked joints. These are joints of cannabis mixed with tobacco. Around 12 months ago, I got approved for medicinal cannabis. I have insomnia and regular medications hadn't worked. I knew from experience that cannabis does work, so I spoke to a doctor and can now access cannabis legally. The prescription specifically states that the cannabis flower should be vaped. For some time, I ignored this and continued to smoke joints as I always had. But around July of this year, I decided to buy a dry herb vape and give it a try. Bad time to decide to do so. I discovered as the federal government had made legislative changes aimed at tackling illegal nicotine vapes popular with the youth, and dry herb vapes, which are not similar at all, had been caught up in these legislative changes. However, after a lot of research and messing about, I was able to access a dry herb vape from my cannabis. From the moment I got it, I have not smoked a joint since. I do not mix my cannabis with tobacco anymore, and the results in me using much less cannabis too. So is this, from that point on, this is about his journey with pot?
Here.
Yeah. So, yeah. So good for you.
Interesting.
Hooper, whatever. Good for you that you're no longer smoking.
Interesting thread.
Nice.
So Kev, I have a tweet here from the guy that we love to hate sometimes.
Did you? Okay, yeah, good.
Jonathan Folds.
Yeah.
And this actually goes hand in hand with the intro video that I played at the beginning of the show, where Dr. Mark Sliss discusses the perfect harm reduction tool would be something that resembles the thing that you're addicted to in delivery, but reduce the harms.
Dr. Mark Sliss?
No, not Dr. Mark
Gunther?
Tyndall.
Okay.
When he was on the show, you weren't here when he was on the show, Kevin.
You said Sliss.
I know. I know so many people named Mark.
Wait a minute. He should be.
Yeah. So,
yeah. Either way.
Yeah. Look, since you weren't here.
Oh. See.
Yeah. Since you weren't here, let's just fast forward it here.
All the dangerous chemicals from what the
So here, let's.
Yeah. You take away all the dangerous chemicals from what the cigarette's giving people and make it zero, and then try and tell me, wow, could just be as bad as smoking.
They like to compare vaping with nothing.
Exactly.
They don't want to compare vaping with smoking.
Exactly. And that's the only thing that matters. And from a harm reduction relative risk point of view, it's pretty hard to look at somebody who's smoking and say that I don't think vaping's good for you. You shouldn't try vaping because I've heard it's dangerous. I mean, it's kind of a stupid argument.
they sort of evangelize though. They get in their head that looks like smoking.
Right.
So it must be as bad as smoking.
Well, the interesting thing to me is if you had to define harm reduction, you'd want to emulate the exactly the same behavior, only take away the risk. If you really like driving your car at like 200 miles an hour on a racetrack, you want to put as many safety features in that car as possible, so if something goes wrong, you won't die. And so you want to give people the experience that they're missing or they don't want to give up as much as possible. So to me, vaping's incredible. Like, what you're giving people exactly what they want, only better. There's flavors and doesn't stink, and there's you won't fall asleep on your couch and burn your house down. I mean, there's a lot of good things about it, but it does give people the same sort of hit that they're requiring with nicotine, and people blow smoke, and people can use their hands, and it's social. So if you really had to design the ideal harm reduction, you take out the bad things and allow people to really experience what they want to experience without the harms. So vaping and cigarettes, I mean, that's a perfect, you can't get better description of harm reduction than that.
See, Kevin, that's yet another awesome show that we had in our show reel that you skipped.
Yeah, I skipped it. That's what I did. I thought, you know what? Fuck it. I'm not going to be on that one. That's exactly how it happened.
That's exactly it. So again, Jonathan Folds says nicotine replacement therapy does not work. Time to stop sitting on a fence. And this is something that he wrote in 1994, largely based on Dr. Russell's work, The Future of Nicotine Replacement in the British. So if people have a difficulty overcoming both nicotine dependence and long-term habit change, then surely the solution is to help them avoid most of the health risks with only a minor alteration in their nicotine-seeking habits. This implies a nicotine replacement device which looks like a cigarette and delivers cigarette-like boli, a dosage of nicotine, but does not deliver the tar and carbon monoxide, which cause the vast majority of smoking-related disease. I suspect that we have not seen the end of the road as far as nicotine replacement is concerned, and that the development and promotion of such a product and its eventual replacement of tobacco could have massive beneficial public health implications lasting into the 21st century. So he's saying you design a product that acts like a cigarette but doesn't have the harm, and that would be the perfect harm reduction tool, which is exactly what Mark said on our show. Now, Jonathan Folds wrote this in, 1991?
Yeah.
Or
why has he not?
Dr. Russell wrote it in 1991.
Russell? Oh, I thought Dr. Folds did.
No, Dr. Folds replied
it, okay.
To Dr. Russell's comment in 1991.
Okay. I'm stunned that I haven't seen this before. I'm stunned that it's been hidden this long. So that tells me, like the earlier tweet, what are you waiting on? What the fuck are you doing? You do it yourself, right? So love to hate, hate to love. I don't mean it in a derogatory fashion. You get off your fucking asses, right?
Yep. Yeah.
That's all I think.
I mean, he described in 1991 or 1994, whenever this was done.
Yeah.
Whether that Folds, his name is at the bottom, so maybe he wrote it. He described the development of the exact thing.
Yeah.
That got done in 2007.
But this is honestly, it pisses me off, Patrick. When they were doing they were doing some kind of induction into the scientific community to talk to the FDA, whatever the fuck it was. And Joe Gitchell, love to hate, hate to love. I've talked to Joe on the phone, so it's not like we don't know who we are. I've never met him. I'd love to meet him, but get off your ass kind of thing is where I'm at. And I don't care if he works for Juul or if he works for the CDC. If you know something and it's true, say that. Why do you have to sugarcoat and, well, I have to withhold some information because someone's watching me? Fuck you. Have some balls, do your job, and shut the fuck up otherwise. That's all. So, Dr. Folds, I'm amazed I've never seen or someone else hasn't found that, because it's stunning to me that it's just sitting there forever. And, I'd like to share this now. So maybe he's losing his job. Who knows? I don't know. I don't care. Why wait this long?
So then the Rutgers Institute for Nicotine and Tobacco Studies tweeted, Kevin, postdoctoral fellow Caitlin Uyghur discusses her new K99 grant that aims to identify belief classes that may prevent more adults who smoke from completely switching to e-cigarettes, and test new messages that may help improve understanding of harm reduction. So this is actually a beneficial grant. They're identifying ways to help de-brainwash people who are afraid of vaping, who will not completely switch to e-cigarettes, and figuring out ways to test new messages that will help them understand what harm reduction is. This is from Rutgers, Kevin.
Wow. I missed this one. Was that today?
The 26th, yesterday.
Wow.
Wow.
Okay, see, now I got to look at the show notes because I actually have to read that one.
Yeah.
Okay. Well, there's nothing for me to bitch about.
Here's the research award.
Right, Michael.
It's hard to quit smoking, but Rutgers researchers want to make it easier through improved communication. Rutgers health researchers are assessing why more adults don't switch to e-cigarettes, cited as less harmful than regular ones. Less than 10% of adults who try to quit smoking each year actually succeed. It's about 7%, Kevin. But forthcoming research will explore ways to improve these odds. Rutgers health researchers are assessing why more adults don't switch to e-cigarettes. Led by Caitlin Victoria Uyghur, a postdoctoral fellow at the Institute for Nicotine and Tobacco Studies. Team members of the product also aim to identify more effective ways of communicating relevant health-related information to smokers. Made possible by a $171,742 grant from the National Institute of Drug Abuse, the 2-year study will run through June of 2026.
I strongly suggest you try to get her on the show.
We should try to figure out a way to get her on the show.
Somebody get on that.
Yeah.
You, Patrick, you.
Let's assign somebody the task of reaching out to Kath.
Somebody way nicer than you.
Yeah, Victoria Uyghur. Caitlin Victoria Uyghur.
It's got to be one of the girls.
I'm going to have to get Janine on that. Janine is way nicer than both of us.
I just don't think any of us are, we're not smart enough. I would like.
She actually, her daddy called, so she's on the phone with her dad right now. Anyway,
that's one of the very, very, very few things that I couldn't just start snapping from. That's good. I like that, Rod.
Yeah, that's
late at night. Hey, Rod's is later than me. I get my point back.
Well, he was actually. He's been here, Kevin. He just decided to pop over to Rumble.
Well, Kevin, you already added 9 points to your driving record for vaping while driving. So
yes, that
what
did? You missed that story too. Yeah,
driving on the wrong side of the road in the UK. Kevin.
Well, good. I'm glad I didn't know it.
Which is the right side of the road.
You know how them Brits are. It's just, I don't know. Okay, I was late. But I was carrying a flashlight.
No, this story won't concern Kevin so much.
Oh, good.
But it does affect you and I right now, not Kevin, because I am currently vaping a fruity flavored vape.
Same.
But according to the website The Naked Scientist, fruity vapes paralyze lungs' immune system.
I'll just mute.
Yeah, let's see if we can
A new study has found that berry-flavored vapes can paralyze the action of immune cells that normally patrol the lungs and prevent infection. The study, which has just been published in the journal PNAS and was conducted on experimental lab mice, is the work of Erica Pence at the University of Saskatchewan and Ajita Thanabalasuriya from McGill University.
So, fruity vapes paralyze mice lung
immune cells.
Yeah, okay.
A new study has found that berry-flavored vapes can paralyze the action of immune cells that normally patrol the lungs to prevent infection.
Apparently, I
The
can't
study,
pause.
which has just been published in the journal PNAS, conducted by Experimental Lab Life, is the work of Eric Pence at the University of Saskatchewan and Ajita Thanabalasuriya from McGill University. How, I asked Ajita, did they end up looking into this in the first place?
Really hit us in 2019, where there was this outbreak of e-cigarette related lung injury in teenagers. So one is the type of e-cigarette products that kids were drawn to and that was marketed for them. It was really like the fruity flavors and the candy flavors. And we thought, what specifically do these flavors do to our immune system?
What happened to those kids? What did they present with?
They presented with lung injury. So essentially they would go into the hospital and they looked like they had a flu infection. But when they did a test, they came out negative for the influenza virus. And a large portion of these individuals who got sick, who got very sick or actually passed away, were in the US. And at the time, there was a lot of studies done in the US, and they kind of chalked it down to this one part of e-cigarettes called vitamin E acetate that was in their e-cigarette product. And since then, they've banned vitamin E acetate from e-cigarettes, and they've had fewer of these lung injury in young kids. But the thing that was interesting is that vitamin E acetate was never allowed in e-cigarette products in Canada, and we also had those lung injury cases. And again, they were smaller proportion, but it still made us think.
So I have to pause it. So vitamin E acetate was never allowed in or disallowed
Nicotine
at
vaping.
all in e-cigarettes ever.
That's not
Because
the interesting
again,
part, Patrick.
Vitamin E acetate is an oil. Vitamin E acetate is from oils. Vaping nicotine is a water-based chemistry system. It was never used in e-cigarettes. Now, it could have been vapable, but we don't call THC vape pens an e-cigarette.
Nope.
So the idea that she just said that vitamin E acetate was never allowed in Canadian e-liquid in e-cigarettes,
Which is true.
right?
On wording.
But again, she says because but we still had it here. It's because your fucking Canadians were vaping illicit black market THC vape cartridges.
People are never mind. I'm not going to say.
And these are scientists.
Well, pseudoscientists, all right.
I mean, they're Canadian scientists. I'm sorry, Janine, but they're Canadian.
Sorry, Janine.
I love you, Janine. I don't care about those two. I don't even like them.
I'm just saying.
I like Jason better, though.
Well,
well,
I almost said something really harsh, and I'm not going to say it.
Uh-oh. You're couching your behavior?
I am couching one word in my vocabulary tonight. Yeah.
Oh, just one?
Just one.
Golly. All right.
I'm really enjoying this cookie.
I bet. It's on number 3 or 4.
Kids don't like cookies either, do they?
No. I still have 4 of my 6 cookies.
Oh my goodness.
Package is 6 cookies. So
And it's chocolate.
2
walnuts,
gourmet chocolate chunk pecan cookies. 6 count.
Nobody makes a Tootsie Roll cookie, do
From
they?
the HEB bakery. I got brownies, but I left them in the refrigerator because I want them. I like my brownies to be almost frozen.
I like my pecan pie frozen.
So you're just a mutant over there. I'm just, just saying. So the Statesman have published a piece today. The Statesman. That sounds like a very, fancy schmancy news source here. Myths about vaping do more harm than good. Few topics in mental health create as much attention and misunderstanding as the rise of vaping. the mainstream media has painted a grim picture of these devices as a looming crisis, particularly for young folks, often referred to vaping products as gateway devices. While undoubtedly born of genuine concern, this narrative fails to acknowledge the reality of the role of vaping in tobacco harm reduction. This
Hallelujah.
can unintentionally risk, huh?
Hallelujah.
This is by Sheree Madan, by the way, from New Delhi.
Oh.
This can unintentionally risk pushing smokers away from them. What can be a life-saving alternative? When one directly examines the scientific literature on vaping, a completely different story emerges from the ones most commentators speak of. Several studies conducted by authoritative sources, such as Public Health England, suggest that e-cigarettes are about 95% less harmful than ordinary cigarettes. The effectiveness of e-cigarettes as a smoking cessation tool is another area where public perception often trails behind the scientific evidence. For instance, a study published in the New England Journal of Medicine found that e-cigarettes were twice as effective at aiding smokers to quit compared to traditional nicotine replacement therapies. This finding, backed up by real-world data from countries like the UK, emphasized the strong potential of vaping as a formidable weapon in the battle against smoking and smoking-related diseases. As such, policy approaches that incorrectly treat vaping as equivalent to smoking or worse, seek to ban it entirely, do more harm than good. Hey, Kevin.
Yes.
Not Kevin. You know, I recently was outside of Texas and had to travel to the awful northeastern part of the United States. And I
Watch
was
your
in
mouth, Zippy.
Pennsylvania. And while I was there, my brother and his wife and my nephew drove up from California. And my brother does vape. But my cousin, who is only his mama, my aunt, it was her birthday. We were going for her 60th birthday. So she's only 8 years older than me. And her child, her boy, is 20-something years old. He's in the Air Force, and he recently got married to a young lady from California. Now, my nephew, or my cousin, I always call him my nephew because his mom and I are like brother and sister. But anyway, my cousin used to vape, but now he's a Zenfluencer, Kevin. He loves the Zen.
Good. Okay. Yeah.
Now the problem is my little cousin, he knows that I'm very knowledgeable on this topic. And
look,
he
Uncle Patrick's an arrogant bastard, and he's going to quiz you.
No. He decided to set his wife up.
Oh.
He booby trapped the conversation, Kevin, because she had been nagging him to quit using his Zins. She says that you know that it makes him grumpy and
twitchy,
that you know it's bad for him and blah 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 blah. And then he started the conversation in front of me, and then made me not. I don't want to say that I sabotage or that I jumped out, but I did feel like it was necessary for me to defend him and nicotine, and explain to her that nicotine does not cause brain damage.
Zin be damned, or vaping be damned, right?
And I felt really bad, and I said to her, I don't want, I feel like I'm,
you're a patsy. Yeah.
I feel like he's put me in this situation, but I do need you to understand that your assumptions are wrong and that you've been brainwashed.
Right.
And that if she would like, I would provide her with literally thousands of pages of science that show that nicotine is not causing brain damage and X, Y, and Z, and that it's actually neuroprotectant, and it helps with it. He's going to school to be a pilot, Kevin.
Right.
And
yeah, he's not an idiot.
So, he needs to concentrate on, he's doing a lot of math and doing, and, I just felt like I needed to help him out, but I also felt bad for her that he did it on purpose.
Well, he probably did. Did he admit that he did, or did you just figure that out?
Yes, no, he did. He admitted that he did it on purpose, but it was just the fact that, he had let it get that far instead of educating her and showing her how to use Google or sending her to the safer wiki.
I guess what was her response? One.
Well, she was much more understanding at the end and actually went with him the next morning to go buy more Zen.
Yeah.
And I said, "Hey, I have a friend that has a company called Zemo."
Zemo.
Mm-hmm.
Said, I can show you where to buy it online if you would like.
Right.
I'm Zemoing right now.
Zemoing?
I'm manipulating.
As long as you're not zinning.
So, my second question is, did you ask him why he set you up before I get to my third?
Because he knew that I had the numbers like right in my head.
Okay, so he had a response. He thought yours would be more educated. Is that where I'm?
Yes.
Okay. If I was okay, I was going to lean that way. And my third question is to both of you. Actually, I would. It's not a question; it's a statement that you can agree or disagree with. In my opinion, if I have, what did you have, Zen, Jason?
I have Zemo,
right? Or Zemo. So Zemo to me, or any smokeless tobacco, any smokeless tobacco to me would be safer than even vaping. That's my opinion, right? And I assume that I'm really close to right or right on the line, maybe.
It's lower on the continuum of risk.
I would say that
vaping.
it's much that either snus or nicotine pouches both fall in the safer than vaping category.
Than vaping, right? So I would even go that far today, and I have a couple times, and people look at me like, "Well, but I thought you liked vaping." Well, I do, but that doesn't mean it's the only fucking thing. That's all. That's my point. I don't have another point to it. Just that it's safer even to me than this. That's all.
Right.
Yeah.
Delivery
I like the
system.
Zemo. I like the Zemo at my desk. At work.
And you're in a field, Jason, that you can't just sit there and talk to your customers, I guess, if you call them that, and sit there and all day long.
Kevin, his customers are dead.
The people.
Well, my clients, if they pocket a vape like a disposable, I'm always like, "Hey, you can vape in here. It's cool. I'm cool with it."
Yeah.
And if it will make them get through what I have, to talk with them about as a funeral director, whatever gets them through. If it helps them a little bit, that's fine. If it makes them feel more comfortable, that's fine. Yeah. And I haven't reached the point to where I haven't reached the pinnacle of having a client that I'm cool with vaping in front of them. So
right.
One of these days, I'm sure it'll happen.
But that's your alternative for those days, times, whatever. Yeah. I appreciate that. So I think
it's like putting on a patch or,
Yeah. As hard as we, focus on vaping, we also do the other things. And I think that's a point we could always make if we're talking to people who don't understand. Like, well, wait a minute, I'm not for this specifically. I want this for me and anybody choosing. But I also I didn't even know what snus was until 5 years ago or whatever. Like, what? I thought you stuck it up your nose. I didn't know what the hell it was. So,
my friend David, his grandmother was European, and she spoke with a very thick German accent, maybe, and she called it Schnuski. And she had the little tin of powder, and she'd had the little spoon, and she'd put one in her upper lip, and she called it Schnuski. And I just remember that as a kid and not knowing that it was powdered snus,
Yeah, yeah.
Well,
Crazy.
You remember the old powdered snuff that came in the little jars?
Yeah, that's what I'm talking about. Yeah.
Yeah. I didn't, but yeah, I've heard of
Yeah.
it since.
Yeah.
But yeah.
My grandmother used to dip a toothpick in that and then.
Yep.
Yeah.
Snus.
And like Michael, I think you're in the automotive industry, so you can't, if you're all greasy and not using gloves and you got the vape, if that's what you're doing, and you can use other things. I love that.
Yeah.
Ability, choice. That's all.
Yep.
Don't care.
So, fellas, we're gonna I'm pasting for all the losers that haven't followed us over on Rumble yet. I did just put the Rumble link in all of the chat rooms.
Patrick's speaking for himself.
Who's Smoke-Free Radio?
That's me.
Okay.
Are you new here?
I am new here.
But
I didn't know it was
we're
here
gonna
for a while.
I'm gonna play an old video from Henage.
Ooh.
For a few minutes while we go and recover and move over to the Rumbles. And we will see you in a few minutes. Let me go find it here. Oh yeah, I found it. It's right here. So we'll see in just a few minutes. Come on over to the Rumbles. We got some stuff to talk about over there too.
Night, Michelle.
This is ultimately a human rights issue. We talk about consumer rights, we talk about choice, but we have a right enshrined in the god-awful WHO of the right to health. It's a basic, fundamental human right. It comes with having clean drinking water, education, and the right to choose to make decisions for ourselves based on accurate, full information. That is a human right. This is a human rights issue, which is why so I am essentially hopeful, because for all the political correctness that's thrown at us in everything that we encounter every day, human rights is something that binds a vast majority of the people on the planet. That we have basic human rights, and one of our basic human rights is being denied by the Bloomberg Gates pharmaceutical companies, WHO, FCTC, CDC, FDA, blah, 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 the right to choose less harmful products to use, particularly when you look at the fact that the one that's actually killing us, cigarettes, is completely legal.
Yep.
It's completely legal, and in the United States, it's actually protected. Because the master settlement agreement, part of the agreement was that the states would never try to ban the sale of combustible cigarettes in their states. This was agreed to.
Yeah.
46 attorney generals signed on to this.
Yeah.
And the other 4 had independent agreements.
There's your problem, you see, is that because they can't stop cigarettes and they make shit tons of money out of it, which they've already spent, and now as smoking goes down, they've got oops, we've spent all the money and it's not coming in, oops. But obviously there's going to be look, here's something that threatens that market and our diminishing returns from the master settlement, because we spent all the money in advance before we got it. Now it's going down. Now here's something that can come in and undermine even further and reduce smoking rates even further. Let's ban that instead. There's nothing at all to do with health, nothing at all to do with rights, nothing at all to do with reason, nothing at all to do with science, everything to do with money. And that's what it is. So at the end of the day, it's my money and your money that they're taking, and where I choose to spend my money, it's up to me. And if you're a regulator, you need to understand that, there's a lot of us, and between us, we have more money than Bloomberg's and Gates put together. Between us, I mean, not in my pocket, not in your pocket, but all together, we do. And you're filching us out of it in taxes and whatever for products that you want us to keep using, so that you can, and you're denying us the right to choose to use less harmful products, and making huge stumbling blocks for any small companies to actually supply us with these products. This is iniquitous and wrong, and ultimately, hopefully not in 50 years before that, it will change.
Well, this is the only way we're going to clear up bureaucracy and big government and unimportant branches that develop in order that a man can feel more important in his particular bureau.
But you've got some friends who are liberals.
I'm liberal.
Come on. You're liberal.
Of course. I understood liberal as, maybe I read the wrong dictionary, but I thought that a liberal was a man who would listen to everybody's point of view and then make up his mind what he was going to do. I made up my mind pretty fast, but but I don't know of any of these so-called liberals that listen to anything but their own mouth. Pardon my English.
I'm going to ask the Justice Department and I'm going to ask the President to tell us what they're going to do to protect this country against violence if he loses. I want to know about all of those right-wing organizations that he's connected with, who are training up in the hills somewhere and targeting, what communities they're going to attack.
If you see anybody from that cabinet in a restaurant, in a department store,